my teachers ended up getting mugged right in front of our class's face. So there's like 30 kids, 13, 14 years old. And there were these guys jumping on my teachers' backs, knives in their hands, robbing them of all their jewelry. And we were all just standing there like, what can we do?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 11 of the Andrew Deitch podcast. As of yesterday, we have almost 800 downloads per day, and that's insane. So I want to thank all of you so much for your support. It means the world to me. I mean, I've been saying that this whole time, but seriously, you guys are amazing, and I really appreciate all of the downloads and shares and reviews and all that. All right, my guest today is the amazing South African man, Jamie Kerem. He has the coolest accent ever. He's a general manager of a gym. He's a world traveler. He's a certified personal trainer. And he's got some insane stories. And in this podcast, we talked about his time in South Africa. He shared some crazy stories, like when his teachers got mugged on a field trip, when he confronted a live gorilla while he was hiking in the woods, his transition to America and our public school system, his experience living in Israel, and we talked about the conflict over there with all the Arab countries, and how he went from being an insecure kid, kind of a chubby kid, to an absolute beast competing in bodybuilding competitions and much, much more. Jamie and I definitely could have gone on for even longer, so I'm sure a second podcast is in our future. So if you want another one, make sure to give this podcast some love. But give it up for my friend, Jamie Kerem. All right, Jamie, we're live, bro.
Cool. Awesome.
We are super live.
Ready for this?
Awesome. So, as people can already tell, you have a very cool accent.
I don't think they've been able to tell from just 5 words, but I definitely think they'll be able to tell by the course of the end of this conversation.
Definitely. But, yeah, so I've been kind of starting off my podcast with kind of like an introduction on, my guests and what their childhood was like, and kind of just like some milestone events that took you from baby Jamie to adult Jamie.
Okay.
Baby Jamie sounds hilarious.
Baby adult Jamie. Sure.
Hey, there's the kitty. Mr. Kitty. We had a cat in here earlier and we were trying to get him out. So, Jamie, here, should I just open the door and see if he walks out? We're doing it. We have a cat extraction.
Oh, crap. Dropping the cat. Got it. Success.
We got the cat out of the room. All right, so now that the cat's out of the bag.
Nice.
Never a dull moment on the podcast. I'm not going to cut that out either because I think it's funny. I'm allergic to cats, so we wanted the cat to be out here, but it doesn't really matter.
If you get nasally, we know why.
Yes, and I've also already recorded a podcast today too, so my voice is kind of low. So I'll let you do most of the talking.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so what took you from being baby Jamie to adult Jamie? And I guess that would start in South Africa.
Yes, so born in South Africa, 1994. Surprisingly, I know not many people in America will know this, but that's actually the year that apartheid ended.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow. And so for anyone who's listening who doesn't really know what that is, do you want to explain that a little?
Pretty much slavery in America. In South Africa, it was the separation and segregation between races, the claimed inferiority of Africans.
Wow.
Yeah, and that ended the year, if I'm not mistaken, the month that I was born.
Wow.
So the reason I say that is that you could definitely feel the effects of it even after the fact that it had ended.
So there was slavery, basically, and when it was banned, essentially, it's not like it just ended immediately, right?
Correct.
It's like there's still ripples and...
Correct, exactly. So, you still feel the effects in the culture.
Definitely.
Day-to-day interactions, and then most definitely you can see it in the wage gap, the poverty, you know.
So South Africa was a British colony originally, right?
Colonized by the Dutch.
By the Dutch.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's why I speak Afrikaans, a little bit of Afrikaans, and that is derived from Dutch.
Really?
Yeah, they sound very similar.
Do they only speak Afrikaans in South Africa?
There's actually 11 official languages.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's Afrikaans, Zulu, Xhosa, Sotho, bunch of tribal languages.
Makes sense.
English.
It's kind of cool that they haven't died, though. Like, they didn't let them die. They still kept them as official languages.
Yeah.
Because I was listening to this other podcast recently where they were talking about how, like, in the Congo, there's so many just tribes that have just died and their language dies with it.
Oh, really?
And there's barely anyone that's, like, dedicated their life to studying it or anything. So,
Sure.
like, no one knows it. So the language is just completely gone.
Doesn't it seem like just English is becoming more and more centralized, you know?
Standard.
Yeah, pretty much.
In kind of a scary way, like in the sense of like New World Order kind of shit, but like not in the sense, like it's cool in the sense of everyone's being able to come together.
Sure. Communicate.
I think the internet's really doing it.
Yeah.
For sure. Man. And like entertainment. Because especially with Hollywood pumping out so much content, if all the good content's in English, then are you going to watch the other stuff that sucks, or are you going to watch the good stuff in English?
It makes sense.
That's
I think we'll talk a little
bit
bit more about it, but the internet just has played such a pivotal role in how our lives have transformed, even from when we were young, because we're the same age.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy to think about, like, how the internet is still in its infancy. Like, it's already changed the world on such a dramatic level. It's the biggest thing that's ever happened, really. Like, seriously, it's the biggest thing that's ever changed the world that much and changed the way we live in that quick of a time period. And it's
brand new. Yeah.
We haven't even touched the surface.
Oh,
really.
man,
Scratched
scary.
the surface. Yeah, so to go back to
South Africa.
So basically, it was, how did the slavery start? It was like the Dutch moved in and there was these tribesmen that were already there,
so
and they enslaved the tribes.
I don't want to speak from a place, you know, of not being confident about it. I wouldn't exactly say that there was slavery, but the separation and segregation was very real and very evident.
I see.
You know, like we had a maid.
They just didn't have the same rights.
Yes, exactly.
I see.
Black people had to carry their identification on them at all times, and if they didn't have them, there was even like brutal beatings and hose downs and things like that.
Wow.
But they had different schools, different universities, different public parks, different transportation, everything was separated and segregated, and you didn't see so much of that, or I didn't see so much of that personally, but like I said, you could definitely see the poverty gap, the wage gap. I grew up in a bit more of a bubble, I would say.
Where were you born?
So I was born in Johannesburg, which is one of the capitals in the city. It was very urbanized, very first world, you could even say. You know, we had good streets, highways, cars, even public transportation. We had malls and shopping centers. We had movie theaters. A lot of that wasn't any different, but you could definitely, you could drive, 30 minutes north and be in what we would call the ghetto. I'll tell you a little bit about, this is part of the reason why we actually moved from South Africa, but I was on a field trip in middle school, and we went into what's known as Soweto. You ever heard of Soweto?
Mm-mm. It's an area.
It's an area in South Africa.
Is it like an actual town's name or something? Or is it
So
like a...
have you ever watched District 9?
Yes.
So District 9 literally looks like Soweto. Like all these shacks made from tin. Soweto is a very dangerous part of South Africa, or at least it was when I was there 7-8 years ago. I don't see it having changed that much.
Yeah, how could it?
Yeah.
Unless like gold was found there or something, and like a town springs up, but otherwise like...
Yeah. So we were on a field trip there one time, and on the field trips that we had, we actually had security following the bus, and one of our teachers decided to kind of shake the security and take an immediate turn into Soweto, and they weren't supposed to. We weren't supposed to go in there. So we went into this camp, and we started walking through the shacks, through the houses, and my teachers ended up getting mugged right in front of our class's face. So there's like 30 kids, 13, 14 years old. And there were these guys jumping on my teachers' backs, knives in their hands, robbing them of all their jewelry. And we were all just standing there like, what can we do?
Were people freaking out?
Oh, yeah, freaking out. Like the whole class had counseling, voluntary counseling afterwards. And it was a whole ordeal. Yeah, it was crazy. That's just one of the things that had happened to me, man. Crime was a big part of the reason why we moved from South Africa. My dad was fed up with it.
Yeah, I would be too.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So, what were you saying about the security? They tried to shake the security? What were they doing?
Basically we had security in a car following the bus. And I guess they had walkie-talkies and they were talking to each other about where they were supposed to be going. And it wasn't approved for us to go into this camp. But one of the teachers that was
just wanted to go,
leading us wanted to go. So she just kind of hit a left turn and went straight into the camp. And before it was, it was too late before the security could even tell them to get out of there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So you were kind of saying that was part of the reason why you guys moved, and your parents decided on America.
My dad's got a lot of family over here.
Okay.
Family friends. One of his closest childhood friends has been living in Atlanta for a while, and they actually started a business together. So they started an IT security business. And yeah.
Nice.
That was the other major reason.
Nice. So how long did you live in South Africa?
16 years.
Wow.
16 years in South Africa.
That's actually a long time.
Yeah.
That's the majority of your life.
Majority of my childhood.
That's kind of crazy to actually think about, because, I've known you for a while, actually.
What's it been, 5-6 years?
Yeah, I think we met through, Cameron and Ross back in high school, so it's probably been longer than that.
Yeah.
Because that was probably back in, 2010 or something.
That was the year we moved.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
2010 was when you moved. Yeah, so it's probably
2011.
shortly after I knew who you were, but we didn't really become friends until later, though.
Yeah.
We became better friends much later when I got I think it was kind of when I got involved in Vima and stuff like that. We kind of got closer and whatever.
Yep.
But yeah, so you moved here when you were 16.
Yes.
Did you want to move, or?
I had no choice.
Yeah. But were you happy about it, or?
I was. I've always kind of been the person of, I guess, a positive mentality, an optimist. Always looking at the brighter side of things and the silver lining and everything. There's everything happens for a reason. I definitely 100% truly believe that everything happens for a reason. So I was not upset. I remember, thinking about leaving, and the thing I was actually most upset about was leaving my dog, leaving my golden retriever.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that was the toughest.
That's sad. You couldn't bring her with?
No.
Dang. Yeah, I guess importing animals is frowned upon and stuff, so.
That's a big deal, yeah.
Yeah.
And then a 16-hour flight for a dog is probably not too good.
That's not fun.
Yeah.
Especially when they got to go underneath or whatever.
Exactly.
That would suck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be terrible for them. So you moved here when you were 16. I had a question that I was trying to remember exactly what it was, but did your family do a lot of traveling when you lived there, or did you pretty much just stay in South Africa, or did you get to kind of travel around a lot?
So I've been very fortunate to have been able to travel. I was in New Zealand for about a month when I was fairly young, I'd say 11 or 12. Stopped off in Singapore for a day on the way to New Zealand. I've been to Canada. I've been to Israel. I lived in Israel for 6 months. I lived in London for 3 months. So I've definitely gotten to experience a good bit, but nowhere near how much I want to go to everywhere else. Yeah, I definitely enjoy traveling a lot.
That's awesome. Yeah, and we can get into that in a little while, but sure. I just was curious as if you traveled with your parents, when you were younger too, or that sounds really cool.
Yeah.
And then also, you said you went to Israel. You're Jewish too. Your family's Jewish.
Correct.
So growing up being Jewish, I'm sure that you were. And it's interesting. I'm pretty sure like 90% of all the South Africans that I've met in America are Jewish.
Yeah.
Why is that? Is that just like a thing?
I don't know. I don't know if it's because of, that we're fortunate enough to be the ones that are able financially to move. I'm not sure what it is.
Those Jews are good with their money.
That's a good stereotype to have.
It is a great stereotype. It's not negative.
Yeah.
It's negative, I guess, in the sense of like pinching pennies and like being, like.
I'm not like that.
Yeah. You're South African. Like, I feel like when people are thinking of the Jewish stereotype too, they're thinking of like a New York or something. Exactly. Like New York Jews or something. I don't know. But South African Jews, it's not as. It's not at the top of my brain, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what I was saying when I was talking about that bubble that I lived in. I went to a Jewish day school where everyone that went to that school was Jewish. So I used to hang out with my Jewish friends. Yeah. I didn't really get to experience so much of South Africa as much as I think I'd be able to go back now and experience being independent, being able to drive myself. I was relying on my parents taking me to and from friends. And also, you got to understand, in South Africa, it's very different. You can't exactly go just, waltzing the streets, walking to your friend's house. It's not too safe. So I used to get driven from house to friend, back to school, etc. So I think it would be very different if I went back there now. Yeah. And
I'm not too familiar with the geography. Is Johannesburg centrally located?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Because I know like Cape Town's like on the beach and stuff, right?
Yeah, Cape Town's nice.
Yeah, I really want to visit. It seems really cool.
It is. It's a great surfing place, great beaches.
Yeah, I feel like South Africa is pretty chill.
Yeah.
But do you think that in the recent years it's gotten better as far as crime and stuff, or do you think it's gotten worse?
I think that depends on who you're talking to. Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, the government's still corrupt over there, I guess as corrupt as any other government.
I feel like pretty much all governments have at least some form of corruption.
Yeah, I've come to realize that. But yeah, I mean, definitely the president right now is very corrupt. There's a lot of turmoil over there. Riots happening in the universities, things of that nature.
Yeah, that's interesting. And so, when you moved here, you didn't continue going to Jewish school or anything? You went to a regular public high school.
Correct.
Was that the first time you'd gone to a non-Jewish school?
Yes.
Wow. So you're in America.
Yeah.
As fresh off the boat, basically, fresh off the plane.
Uh-huh.
And now you're in a school that's not Jewish. It's in America. You have no friends. What was that like?
So, in South Africa, the school I went to was called King David. There were about 350 to 400 kids in the entire school. I had 40 kids in my grade, in my class. Came to America, went to Johns Creek High School, 1,600 kids. So it was 4 times the size. There were 300 kids in my grade alone. So there were as many just my age that there were in the entire high school in South Africa. 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade. Wow. They actually have an extra year of high school in South Africa.
8th is included.
Yeah,
I think like they used to kind of have that in America too.
Did they?
I think it used to be a thing. Like junior high was like 7th and 6th grade, and then like 8th, 9th. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I've heard of that before.
You got to look that up.
Yeah,
I'm curious about that now. Yeah. So that was very different. But
did your credits like transfer? Or, like what did you have to do?
It was some special process. I had to sit down with someone, and it was basically up to them. Well, does this transfer? Yes, it does. You did a language, okay.
Because that's another thing is you weren't a citizen, so how did that have to go? Because your dad had a green card, essentially. Yeah, you're still not a citizen.
Yeah.
So like your dad had a green card, right?
No, he has an L2 business visa.
Okay, so what does that mean?
So because he has started a business over here and he employs people over here, the government's given him a work authorization and a business visa.
That's cool. So he was allowed to start his own business even not being a citizen?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
That actually makes a lot of sense because it's like the government sees it as he's creating jobs.
Correct, exactly.
So keep him.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And kind of to jump ahead, your parents are back in South Africa right now. And
yes.
You said it was kind of indefinitely. Why are they back over there right now?
Trouble with the visa. I don't know. I don't know too much about it. but I know that their visas either expired or there was some kind of hitch with it, and they had to go back to the embassy over there and reapply.
Oh, okay.
It's not as uncommon as you would think. I know a couple of other South Africans whose families that had happened to.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And so you guys have been here for 8 years, 7 years, something like that?
Yeah, 7.
Yeah, nice. So there was a problem with it, and so they had to go back.
Yep.
But you didn't have to go back?
Because now I'm on a student visa. So when we originally came to the States, I was a dependent of my father's visa. And I aged out of that, I think when I turned 21, if I'm not mistaken. And I had to get an F1 student visa, which is sponsored by the school, by the university, or the Georgia State University. And so there's different provisions for that as well now. I have to maintain full-time status in school.
Oh, wow.
I'm not allowed to travel in and out of the United States.
Really?
Yeah, that's the sucky one. I haven't
Yeah,
been
that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But the United States is so big, at least you can visit a lot of places if you want to.
It's true. I had a planned trip to Jamaica last year for my birthday, and had tickets bought and everything, and then realized I wasn't even going to be able to go.
That sucks. Were you able to get your money back or anything?
A friend actually bought them for me for my birthday.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so she ended up being able to, I guess, get
the
credit.
miles or something.
Yeah, something
and
like
use
that.
it towards another flight. That makes
Exactly.
sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, but that sucked. I
That
was
does
really
suck.
looking forward to Jamaica.
Yeah, that blows.
Yeah.
So going back to the high school thing, so you were like brand new at this high school. Did you like make friends like the first day, or like what kind of happened?
I would say so. So I think I came here just before summer started. And so we had 3 months off of school. But the neighborhood that I moved into had a lot of kids my age or a year or two younger that were in the same high school. So by the time school started, I already had a couple people that I knew, and I hung out with them for a few years. But, I'll be honest, making friends wasn't too hard because I think the accent was a bit of a novelty to
Definitely.
people. Yeah.
Yeah. People want to be friends with, like, you're also the new guy, so
Yeah.
people, like, are kind of tired of hanging out with the same people. And so they're like, oh, this guy's so cool. He's got the accent. He's from South Africa.
Yeah, whatever it is, yeah.
Yeah, he's African, but he's white.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
I got that. When people actually said that,
Say banana.
all the time. I used to get that so often.
That's the best word ever.
Banana.
Banana.
There you go.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and you, that was the other thing, is people probably were like, oh, dude, I'm so jealous. You have such a cool accent. And you're like, well, to me, you have a cool accent.
Exactly. That's very true. It's very true.
I remember you saying that.
Yeah.
I was like, that makes sense. You were like, if you went over to South Africa, you'd have girls that were, wanting to date you or whatever because you have a cool accent.
There you go.
That makes sense, I guess.
So,
what was I going to say? Oh, yeah.
You must have experienced that because you've been to, like, Spain and all that.
Yeah. But the weird thing is they definitely think it's cool, but I'm not as I wasn't like as fluent in their language, so it wasn't cool that I could like speak their language in an English accent.
Gotcha.
I don't know.
That makes sense.
But most people speak
broken.
English there, so. But the weird thing for me that I've realized that I do is when I am around people that talk a certain way, I adopt that kind of speech. Mm-hmm. So probably if I hung out with your family a lot, I'd probably start saying words differently.
There's a term for that. I was reading about that. Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, and some people work really hard to keep their accent, and I know you want to keep your accent, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. It's cool. So
my sister just came back from South Africa. She was there for just over a month, probably 5 weeks. And she came back and she's saying yaw instead of yeah, and her tonality of her sentences is completely different. So it's funny. She was there for 5 weeks and she got her accent back a little bit. But give it, another 2 days now and she'll be back to her American ways.
Does she not have she doesn't, I didn't really notice when I was talking to her earlier, she doesn't have an accent.
No,
really.
She's lost it a good bit.
Huh.
And my little brother, oh boy, he sounds like more of a hick than you do.
That's funny.
Yeah,
That's funny because he was how old?
Let's see, he's 14 now. He's 7. He's
wow,
about 7.
Yeah, so basically the majority or half of his life has been here.
Exactly.
So makes sense, I guess.
It does.
That's interesting. And your sister's younger too? Or is she older?
She's 20. I'm
Okay.
about to be 20.
Nice. So she was a little bit younger, so she kind of lost her accent.
I think I was right in that sweet spot.
Where you were just formed. You were already
Exactly.
you were already set in your ways.
Brain was about to be fully developed. No, I guess I was a few years off
Definitely
on
not
that.
fully developed, but maybe the speech.
Yeah.
That's funny. But so why did your parents choose to not put you into a Jewish school here?
Public school's free over here.
That's true.
You know, we paid for private schooling over there.
Yeah.
And the education system over here is supposed to be pretty good. The public schooling system in South Africa is not very good. So it was just a no-brainer. You know, put me in high school over here.
Makes
it's completely
sense.
free, no expense.
Yeah. I mean, it's the expense you're already paying, so
Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah, I actually had a kind of similar experience. I don't know if you knew this, but I went to a private middle school
I think
and
I did know
elementary
that.
school.
Yeah.
With like Calvin and
Yeah.
some other people, Cameron and Ross. Yeah. So I went to a Christian school, like from fourth grade, from like kindergarten to fourth grade. I was homeschooled.
Oh, okay.
So that's a real bubble.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I always kind of just forget about that because it's just like so deep back there in my memory banks. But do you know Ashlyn Showalter?
No, I don't.
Okay, she went to Northview, I think, but she was on episode 2 of the podcast. We talked about that a little bit, so it's kind of interesting. She was homeschooled too, but she like didn't want anybody to know. She was like embarrassed of it, and I like didn't really care that much because I was only in like 3rd grade by the time that I was done with it. But she went all the way through 8th grade and then went to public high school.
My girlfriend's
like
homeschooled as well.
Really?
Yeah, she is.
She's homeschooled right now?
No,
or
not
she
now.
was?
She's in college now, but yeah, she was.
I was going to say, right now, that'd be a little bit weird. I'm homeschooling for college. My mom's giving me a degree.
Wouldn't that be cool?
If your mom was like a doctor or something, maybe, but like...
I don't think they'd approve that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the wacky thing about the university system is it's all intertwined. You got to be part of the club. It's very weird. There's lots of rules. Because I was listening to this podcast where this guy was creating this school that was going to be basically free and online, and the university system wouldn't accredit him, even though the professors were the exact same people.
Interesting.
Yeah, very fascinating.
I mean,
but
it's
anyways,
a business. Money.
Yep, it's a business, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yep, and they're sucking us dry.
Seriously, it's bad. I pay out-of-state tuition.
That doesn't even make sense.
I mean, I'm not a resident. I'm not a citizen.
But you live here.
I know.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's dumb.
That's crazy. But anyways, so to go back though, I kind of had a similar rude awakening kind of experience where I went from a small, very, very small private school to the large public school. And so my first day, I remember like I knew a few people from, like church or like from school or from my other school that went to Norcross, but most of them didn't go there. So like I was kind of in the same boat, like holy crap, this place is huge. Like I've never been in a school this big. Like I've got to figure out how to change classes and get to my stuff on time. And
it was honestly exactly how I pictured high school in America to be. With
it was like the movies.
Yeah, the hallways and the bell rings and everyone floods the hallways. It's exactly how it is. It's awesome.
It really is.
Yeah.
My friend Corinna, she was telling me about when she was an exchange student. She's from Germany, and she was an exchange student in like, I'm gonna get this wrong, but I think it was like Arkansas or something like that. And so she was, an exchange student. She lived with a host family. She said it was like just like the movies, like just like you said, like the bell rings. And she was like, "This is crazy," and like the cheerleaders and stuff.
The cliques.
Yeah, the cliques and the cheerleaders,
it's
the
hilarious.
jocks, and the weird thing is, I think nowadays the cliques are slightly different. Like, have you seen 21 Jump Street?
Yeah.
You know when they like go to school and then like all the cliques are totally different. They're like, oh, here's the cool Asian kids and like the like sexually active band kids or whatever. Something. I think that's from Mean Girls.
Sexually active band kids.
Dude, but that's so true. There's always those weird like band kids that are just very strange, but they're all like just screwing each other after school or whatever.
I'm hoping that it starts to become more and more blended.
I think the internet's doing it.
Yeah,
I really
exactly.
think it is.
It goes back to that. Because the whole idea of cliques are pretty dumb. You come out of high school and that is not a thing.
Yeah. But the crazy thing is, I think like when we got into high school, that was like right when smartphones and all that stuff like started to kind of pop off. And so like we kind of just got a taste of like people, communicating on the internet at like during school or whatever. I feel like kids nowadays like with Instagram being so popular and Snapchat and like all this stuff, it's even intensified more even since we were in high school, which wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you started like making some friends and stuff in high school, I assume. Obviously, everyone kind of wanted to be friends with you because you're South African and because you're a cool guy, not because you're just have a cool accent. But yeah, so then once you kind of completed high school and graduated, what did you do?
So right after high school, I went to Israel.
You took a trip, didn't you?
Yeah, I went to Israel for 6 months and London for 3 after it. Israel.
And you went with your girlfriend at the time, right?
Yeah, my ex.
Yeah.
She, we were there for 6 months. The Israel part was really cool. We stayed on a remote village for 3 months, and I was in Tel Aviv for the other 3. So Tel Aviv in Israel is kind of like the touristy part of Israel. You start speaking to someone in Hebrew over there, and they'll immediately be able to tell that you're not, Israeli, and they'll reply to you in English because everyone over there knows English.
That's how, like, when I was living in Spain and stuff, I would be like, hola, and they're like, hey, how's it going? And I'm like, God damn, I'm so American, I can't even do it.
I'm trying to work on my Hebrew. Speak to me in Hebrew.
So you speak Afrikaans and Hebrew and English?
Yes.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm not fluent in Hebrew and Afrikaans, but I can hold a conversation. So yeah, I was in Israel for 6 months. The village, the youth village that I was on, I was volunteering over there. That was really cool. Completely 180 culture change to everything over here.
What's it like in Israel?
Depends where you go, I guess, but
yeah,
very different culture.
What's the I'm not super well versed on the whole Israeli conflict kind of stuff, but did you experience much of that when you were over there?
There was one incident where I was on the village and they started shooting rockets in from the south. And the village that I was in was pretty far south. It was close to the Negev desert, which is like the southern part. The whole village got evacuated very quickly. I'm talking in an hour. We were all out of there.
Who was shooting rockets?
Arabs.
Wow.
I'm not exactly sure where it was from.
Yeah, not sure what country or where it was from, but they're bombing you guys.
Yeah, there was a rocket that hit.
Wow.
It hit an apartment home, about 2 miles from the village, and if I'm not mistaken, it could have been 3 people died.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was close.
Dude, you've been in some crazy shit.
Oh, yeah, man. Oh, yeah. But, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, for sure.
Hell yeah.
But it was, the village was nice. I definitely changed as a person over there. I think I grew up a lot over there. And that's also where I really got into fitness. Where
I was just about to ask about that. That's cool.
That's really where it all started.
Nice. That's awesome. I had before we kind of go into fitness, because that's really what you're like, that's your main thing now.
That's my passion, yeah.
Yeah. I was going to ask you kind of about, did it, because you're Jewish, did going to Israel kind of feel like that was where you belonged, or like these are my people, or was it weird, or what was it like?
I mean, everyone was obviously super, super nice. I don't know if I would say it's like I felt where I belonged.
Yeah.
But everyone sticks together, the whole Jewish tribe, for sure.
It's weird how much, like, your skin color and, like, who you are, like, I guess just, your background and stuff is tied with who you identify with and stuff like that, Like, for example, when I went to Amsterdam, like, everyone is just, like, super white. Like, everyone's just super white. And it was weird because it was just, like, I'm so used to being in Atlanta where there's so much diversity and so much culture. And before I went to Amsterdam, I was living in Spain, so it was Spanish people. They're still white looking, but like they weren't like me. Like I'm very, very pale and white. I'm German descent. Yeah, I'm like German descent. So it was, but when I was like in Amsterdam, I was like, whoa, this is weird. I'm just surrounded by like 100% white people. Like,
it's funny.
It didn't feel like, oh, this is where I belong, but it was very strange in the way of like I felt like connected because
just automatically.
Yeah, because some of my roots are Dutch too, I believe, like German and Dutch. So it's like there's so much more history there of that culture that it just is so much deeper rooted. I don't know. Not even as far as like, oh my gosh, the Dutch people are so, they have such a different culture, because they're pretty similar. But I could kind of realize like, oh, this is where I kind of come from. You know, it's just kind of strange. I got just like a little weird of a feeling about it.
It's very hard to describe that.
Like, I feel like if I was like my friend Adam, his parents are from Tanzania. And so he was on the first episode of the podcast, and he was talking about how, like, when he went to visit, his cousins and stuff don't speak English. And so they couldn't really communicate, but he felt connected to them because they're family, you know? Yeah. And it's like, we look the same, we are the same people, but, like, It's weird just because there's this language barrier where we can't communicate.
That makes sense.
But, you know, you can kind of communicate through signing at people, and kind of... There's a weird human connection that you can just have without even having to speak the same language. You can convey so many things just through bodily...
Yeah, nonverbal communication is huge. I've also become a huge proponent of, you know, studying that.
Yeah. I read a book once, or I listened to an audiobook. I can't even remember what it was called, but it was all about studying body language.
Yep.
It's pretty interesting.
It's powerful.
Yeah. And I also had a question. Kind of, it's interesting because... when you're Jewish, it's not only like a religion, but it's also like your race too.
Yeah.
So it's kind of...
I don't know why that is. Like,
it's very interesting, but that's blood. Also how like the Arab people are too. Like, their religion is Islam, and you know that's also, you know, kind of how they identify.
Right.
You know.
Did you know that there's a disease that only Jewish people can get?
Really?
Called the Tay-Sachs disease.
Never heard of that. What is it?
You know, I wouldn't, again, be able to say from a place of confidence, but I want to look it up.
Tay-Sachs disease?
Yeah.
Because I was going to say, I think only black people can get sickle cell anemia or something like that. I've heard of that. And white people get sunburned really bad. No, I'm just kidding. No, but it is interesting how there's different diseases for different races and cultures. But so only Jewish people can get it?
If I'm not mistaken, yeah.
Huh.
I could be very, very wrong about that.
Let's look it up real fast. You find anything?
So this says that it's a rare inherited disorder that progressively destroys nerve cells in the brain and spinal cord.
Huh. So do you die from it?
Well, the most common form of Tay-Sachs disease becomes apparent in infancy, typically until the age of 3 to 6 months. Yes, you can. But I don't see anything about...
It only affecting Jews?
Yeah, let me see if I can refine my search.
Yeah. Well, that is very interesting. But to kind of go back for a second,
please.
The whole like culture being tied with the religion being tied with the actual race, or I guess not race is the right word. I don't know. Is it the race? I don't know. But you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I do.
Do you think that's why like there's such deep-seated hatred between the Arabs and Israelis like over there? Do you think it's because the religions are so polar opposite? Like, why does everyone hate each other?
Man, everyone's got their own opinion about this, and...
What's your opinion?
I try and abstain, to be perfectly honest, from having much of an opinion about it.
Yeah.
You know, and I might get a little bit of flack because of that, because I'm not exactly necessarily actively supporting. I mean, I obviously do support my Jewish people, my home state of Israel, but there's just so much crap going on over there for so many different reasons. And like you said, it's so deep-rooted, deep-seated that it's going to be tough to get rid of that.
Yeah, it's quite crazy.
Trump thinks he can do it with a speech.
Yeah, what an idiot. Yeah, when I was at Tomorrowland in Belgium last summer, it was so cool because I saw a guy with a Hebrew Israeli flag and a guy with a Pakistani flag, I think.
Yeah.
I think it was. Isn't that the two countries that are against each other, Pakistan?
No, not Pakistan.
What is it?
Isn't Pakistan... No,
I thought it was really Pakistan. I could be wrong.
It's Iraq.
It's Iraq is the main one? Okay, well, either way, it was basically an Arab guy that they should have been in conflict, and all these people were freaking out and taking pictures because they were like hanging out together.
Like, that's so dumb to me. Okay, today at the gym, I had an Arab kid who was in his early 20s. He must have been in his early 20s, who sat down with me and had a conversation for well over an hour. And he was telling me about, how he's about to get into Ramadan and what he needs to do for his fitness goals and everything like that. And race and religion was 0% of this conversation. It meant nothing. And I would much rather it just be that way. Like, I would much rather just get along. But I understand, on the other hand, that terrorism is terrorism. It's called that because it instills terror in you, and it's hard to just not feel scared.
Yeah.
You know?
My kind of take on it right now is like, people want to just lump everyone in a group. They want to just say it's black and white. If you're a Muslim, you're a terrorist. Simple enough. I can box you into my brain. If you're a Muslim, you're a terrorist. That's how the media portrays it, so that's how I'm going to say it. If you're a goddamn Muslim, you're a fucking terrorist. I'm going to fucking kill you. If I see you on my property, I'm going to shoot you. Just that whole kind of mindset of just like Muslims equals terrorism. But that's like the same kind of thing is we only see the terrorism here in the news, and that's all we get about Muslim stuff.
I don't watch the news.
Exactly. I don't watch the news either, but I'm just saying in general, that's what we hear. It's like anytime that Muslim stuff is being portrayed in the news, in the media, or whatever, it's typically being directed towards Islamic terrorism. But the crazy thing is like, for example, you've got the people of the Westboro Baptist Church. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
So like those people,
they're nuts.
Their website is godhatesfags.com. They have picket signs and they protest soldiers' funerals, anything gay related. It's basically they've twisted the Bible into a message of hate, and it's very, very sad. I've actually listened to a lot of stuff about the Westboro Baptist Church because I'm curious about it.
Yeah.
But would you call that, it's not necessarily terrorism, but it's kind of a weird radical view
very much
of Christianity. So. But it's not like we're saying like, oh my gosh, all Christians are Bible humping,
all Baptists
idiots
are
like the
exactly.
Westboro Baptist Church that are gonna say God hates fags and protest funerals. No, like we have a balanced view here because that represents the 0.0000001% of all Christians. It doesn't matter. Like we're just like there. Just because they call themselves the Baptist Church does not mean they have anything to do with these other people.
Right, exactly.
And that's kind of how I feel like we have to separate terrorists. Because terrorists are these crazy radicals that in the name of Islam are committing heinous acts, but in reality, the majority of Muslims are peaceful people who don't want to attack anybody.
Right.
Whether the doctrine and the message of the Quran is violent and would make someone want to commit jihad and commit,
it's not,
have a holy war and all that kind of stuff. You have to think about the Crusades, like back in the day, like the Christian Crusades. We went on a crusade of trying to convert people, and we killed people who were not Christians. Like that's what we did in the medieval times of Crusades. And all that.
Even so recently, like the Trail of Tears, the Native American, that's been happening.
And
what side of the fence are you on?
It's happening all over the world, and the sad thing is people just, like I said, they want to put you, I'm going to put you in this box if you're a Muslim, you're a terrorist, and that's just not the right way to look at things. Because I also think a lot of Muslims in America specifically, too, are not necessarily super practicing either. That because Islam is also their culture as well as their race, kind of, like the culture and their heritage and everything is all intertwined, so it's hard to kind of just separate. True. Like if you said, I'm no longer a Jew, that's not true. You might not believe in the religion, but you're still Jewish by heritage.
Right.
So you can't separate yourself from that, no matter what you do, which is weird. It
makes sense.
It's just a very interesting concept. Like
stigma.
Yeah, because I'm so far removed from that. Like my family, historically, my grandparents were Christian. My other side of grandparents are Christian. My parents are Christians. So it's like, yes, I should be grandfathered into that. But if I wanted to split off and become something else, I have no ties.
Gotcha.
It's not like I can't separate, it's just kind of interesting. But do you, are you super practicing with Judaism?
Not so much recently.
Gotcha. What are your kind of like views on it if you don't want to share, like if that's too personal? Like
No, that's fine. Look, I think Judaism is an awesome religion. Everything that it teaches and preaches, Very, very good. Do unto others as you would want them to do to you.
Yeah.
Which I believe in.
Because, I mean, they believe in the Old Testament. Like, that's the
Right.
whole thing. They just don't believe in the New Testament, right, of the Bible. And, like, so half of it is Christianity, essentially.
There's a lot of similarities, for sure. There's a lot of similarities. I think a lot of the observations and the practices are different.
Definitely.
And that also goes...
I was going to say, like, there's a lot of not weird, but I guess kind of weird practices that you have to
there's
do.
some weird customs.
Yeah, what are, like, I feel like there's kind of there's different varying degrees of how serious of a Jew you are.
Yes, very much so.
Like, I'm a hardcore Jew, I'm following all the rules, and then there's people that are like, yeah, I'm Jewish, but fuck it.
I'm probably, honestly, on a scale of 1 to 10, I would say I'm a 2 right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, like, what kind of stuff do you follow, and, like, what kind of stuff are you like, I'm not doing that?
So,
like, on Sundays or on the Sabbath?
I was going to say, exactly. The Friday nights, Shabbat dinner, the Sabbath, I'll do that with my family. But, again, that also goes more towards me just, having that time for my family. Being able to have dinner with my family, which I don't really get to do many other days of the week. So that's that one day when I get to sit down and have a meal with my family. But it is, a custom. It's the Sabbath dinner. We try to keep kosher in this house. That lasted, a year or two. And it's tough. It's very tough to keep kosher because you have to separate meat and milk, different plates, utensils, and
what
everything.
Exactly is kosher for anybody who's like listening that doesn't really know? And I'm not like super well versed in it.
Right, and honestly, neither am I to a certain degree, but I can definitely tell you the brief description. It's just a dietary custom where primarily you are separating meat and milk.
Meat and milk. So meaning
Yes.
like while you're eating or what?
Everything. So you're not allowed to, and again, this also goes into how into it you are, but you're not allowed to have meat and milk, eat them within a certain amount of time with each other. I think it's like 3 or 4 hours. You're not allowed to have meat and milk in the same meal. You have to wash the dishes in separate sinks. You have to have different dishes for meat and milk. They're not supposed to touch. They're not supposed to interact. You're also not supposed to eat certain foods which were deemed dirty.
Pork, right?
Pork. Pig is a huge one. Pork, bacon, ham, all of that stuff.
Anything from a pig. I've heard that it's because it has of the feet. It's
yes,
like
it has
they
to
have a
have
split hoof.
Split hoof and chew the cud.
It has to have a split hoof.
It has to have a split hoof. That's the
so
rule
the
for
pig
land
does not
animals.
have a split hoof.
I don't think so, and even if it does, it doesn't chew the cud. Yeah.
Because I heard there was some weird thing about, how like a lot of times in artistic depictions of Satan, he's like a goat or something like that.
Yeah.
Is that why? Or
isn't goat kosher?
I don't know. I feel like
sure.
you might know. I wouldn't know, but
I've never had goat.
But yeah, I don't know if I've ever had goat. I think I've had goat's milk before. But we're going to double check on that. But yeah, so I've heard that it kind of has weird...
Yeah, goats are kosher.
Goats are kosher. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, then maybe I'm just stupid. But maybe I heard that about something else. But so like you were kind of saying like Judaism is founded on really good stuff and you believe in, a lot of the good stuff that it teaches. Correct. But what's the basis? I guess, these a long time ago in ancient times, these foods were deemed dirty foods.
Yeah. What's
the, I guess, practicality of continuing that today?
Well, it also had a lot to do with just health reasons.
Yeah, I've heard that just like eating kosher in general is just really healthy.
Yeah. And I don't know much about the science between why you shouldn't have meat and milk interact.
I just don't drink milk at all.
Do you not? Really?
No, not anymore. My family kind of went dairy free as far as milk and all that, just because, I don't know.
No reason behind it?
It was like health reasons as far as like...
Are you guys lactose intolerant?
No, but just number one, I don't really support the dairy industry. I don't want to, just because of how cruel it is and how factory farming, number one, it's not sustainable.
Sure.
And number two, the only reason why we can get those products so cheaply is because government subsidies. Like the government gives so much money to the meat industry for cows, dairy, and all that That's the reason why you can go to McDonald's and get a cheeseburger for $1.
Right.
If there wasn't those government subsidies, it'd probably be like $5 or $6. But the beef in America is so cheap because there's so much government subsidies and this factory farming thing that's just completely unsustainable on a long-term basis.
Interesting.
It's just something that I don't want to support, and so if I can drink almond milk or just not really drink milk at all, then I'd rather do that. And I have introduced beef back into my diet recently because I started a ketogenic diet, and that was like a great source of fat for me.
Yeah.
Because I was like, chicken breast is way too lean.
How long have you been going keto for?
Wow. It's probably been almost like 2 months now.
Okay.
Which has been good.
So
we'll kind of talk about that
later
when we talk about fitness and stuff.
I know a good bit about that.
But it's been really good for me actually.
That's cool.
It's interesting because I can go for longer periods of time without eating.
Yes. Most people say that because I mean fat naturally
satiates you.
Exactly.
Much more.
Yeah.
Yeah. But to kind of go back to the kosher thing, so just eating kosher is just generally more healthy and
supposedly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
No bottom feeders for the fish, no shellfish, no crab, no lobster.
Why were those animals deemed unclean or whatever?
I think because they eat the scrap and the poop from other animals and things like that.
I see.
So again, just going back to the health reasons.
So it has to have a split hoof and it has to chew its own cud if you're going to eat it.
For the land animals. For the fish, it has to have scales and fins.
Huh.
Yeah.
Huh. It's interesting.
Yeah,
because I was going to say, like, it kind of makes sense as far as a health standpoint to eat. Yeah, because I was, like, thinking about animals that eat poop. I was like, dogs eat poop. Dogs definitely aren't a clean animal. Like, if you were from an Asian culture, you couldn't be... I'm just messing around. Obviously, you're not Jewish if you're from an Asian culture. But...
hey, there's a very minor amount of Asian Jews.
So this is my question: how does one convert to Judaism? Because isn't the whole deal that you're the chosen people? Like, it's in the bloodline?
I'm choosing to be the chosen people.
Yeah, what the fuck is that about? Like,
well, I think if you're a guy, you have to get circumcised. That's one big
step
thing.
one, I'm already there, baby.
There you go. Yeah, a lot of people are nowadays. I guess that's... I don't know.
That's such a weird custom, though. Like, think about if we tried to introduce circumcision in today's society. Like, if it wasn't a thing, we're like... All right,
snip.
This little flap of skin's gonna get real ugly later on. So, and like if you don't wash your dick, it's gonna get infected. So,
oh my God,
let's just snip that top part off. Like imagine if like they did that to baby girls, like snipped off the extra skin or something. Like that would be ridiculous. But yet for guys, it's completely acceptable. It's very, very strange.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I saw an uncircumcised penis. I thought it was the weirdest thing in the world because I'd never seen one before, and it was just very odd.
Where were you when? You know what? I don't even want to know.
Dude, I
don't even want to know.
I'll tell the story. I was in Boy Scouts, and
Boy Scouts, where it
that's
all
really
goes
where
down.
we can just leave it because it's Boy Scouts and some gay shit goes down. I'm just kidding, but seriously, some weird stuff happens in Boy Scouts, but I did enjoy my time in the Boy Scouts, and I still somewhat support the Boy Scouts of America. They've gone in a weird turn, but
have they? I don't know much about it, but I know that. You learn some cool stuff. You learn outdoors.
Yeah. When I was in it, it was great, dude. Yeah. I know all about the outdoors. I've camped a million times.
Yeah, for sure.
I can go camp. That's one thing that's really crazy is a lot of my friends, will go to music festivals that are like camping festivals, and they have no idea how to camp.
They can't hack it.
Yeah, like they have a tent and stuff, but it's like they bring way too much stuff. They have no idea how to pack in food that it's gonna last. Like, bro, why are you bringing that? It's gonna take 30 minutes to cook. Bring something simple to cook on the little stove that we have. Why are you trying to bring all this nonsense? Or better yet, cook your food before and then just bring in a nice chest and then you can just eat it.
Yeah.
That's the best way. But anyways, it was just interesting because it's second nature to me. I've just been camping for
I
forever.
used to go camping a lot in South Africa.
Really?
That was some real camping. We didn't camp next to our cars. Yeah, like that was the funniest thing when I was over here and we went camping by Lake Lanier.
In your car?
Yeah, you pull up to the parking spot right next to your... Yeah.
It's not real camping.
No.
Yeah.
In South Africa, we would go in the Magaliesberg, which was like a mountain range, and we would park the car and hike like 3 hours into the mountains and just pick a spot. And that was the camping. We'd set up a tent. We were surrounded by baboons and wild animals.
What?
Yeah.
Did you saw them and stuff?
Oh yeah,
did they try to like come up to your campsite and take stuff?
I mean, you had to take Yeah, they did, but you had to take precautions. Toward that.
So cool.
I remember very vividly. There was one night where I was camping out in the Magaliesberg, and I woke up middle of the night, and I hear growling like right outside the tent. And it sounded exactly like some kind of large cat just growling, and it did not stop for 30 minutes. I was shaking like crazy. I was in a tent by myself. My dad and my grandfather, I think, was there. They were all in separate tents, and I couldn't say anything. I was like trying to wake them up. They weren't waking up, but there was just growling from this giant cat.
Did you see it?
No, I didn't see it.
It went away though?
Yeah.
For how long?
About 30 minutes. I just heard this growling and...
30 minutes.
It was terrifying.
Dude, that's insane.
One time, my whole family and I were hiking. I think we were out in the Magaliesberg as well this time, but wherever we were definitely in a very wooded, mountainous area. And I ran ahead. I was little at the time. I was probably 9. Ran ahead across this natural bridge that was basically like a rock that had fallen over a ravine, and I was walking across the rock while looking back towards my family, and I turn around and there's this giant gorilla standing right in front of me.
A gorilla?
Like 2 feet taller than me. I had to look up at this thing. And
a gorilla?
I just started backing away real slowly.
What?
Real slowly. This thing was huge.
Dude,
terrifying.
those things will fuck you up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Holy crap.
Terrifying.
Dude, that's insane. But like now I bet when you go to the zoo, it's hilarious because you're like, I've seen this animal in real life, not in a cage.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. When I was in Zimbabwe, I got chased by an ostrich. Oh, yeah. The tales of Africa.
I was going to say the joys of being an African. That's so crazy,
Ostriches,
man.
I do not fuck with ostriches now. Those are some scary birds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll run after you, I guess. And yeah.
Real quick.
Yeah. The gorilla thing is freaky to me. I can't get over that.
Yeah.
That's crazy, dude. Yeah, when I went to Gibraltar, do you know Gibraltar?
No, where's that?
Super, super tiny country on the very... have you heard of the Strait of Gibraltar? It's where the Mediterranean Sea meets the ocean, and it's that little tiny... There's like literally... it's a strait is basically where there's two little... not islands, but peninsulas that are basically forming this very tiny opening between the ocean and the sea. It's actually what separates the sea, and it's called the Strait of Gibraltar. And historically, Gibraltar was a spot where militaries would always try to conquer because it's literally this giant mountain that juts out into the sea, and it separates. So you could sit on the top of this mountain and look out into the ocean and look out into the sea for miles and miles and miles because you can see who's coming in and see who's going out, all that kind of stuff. So monitoring the military and whatever. But Gibraltar is a British colony, and it's actually a country on the very tip of Spain. So it's connected to Spain just like Portugal or something, but it's so tiny. It's literally, I think, like the whole island's like 2 miles wide and like 3 miles long.
Yeah.
It's so tiny.
That's awesome.
And so technically when you go in, you're entering a different country. It's a British thing. Everyone there speaks English. But the weird thing is in the UK, it's technically part of the UK. But in the UK, everywhere else, I'm pretty sure everyone drives on the other side of the road on the left. But in Gibraltar, they drive on the right because it's like Spain.
Because why not? Let's be different.
Yeah. So anyways, they have an airport, a Gibraltar airport, that they built on the water. Like the runway, because think about it, the island's so tiny and the whole thing is a mountain. So the strip that connects Spain to the mountain, they built a runway across the island. So to get into the island, you literally have to walk across the runway or drive across the runway. So So when an airplane is landing, it's like a railroad crossing, and the things come down, and you have to wait for the airplane to land.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like, it is so funny because people just make fun of it because they're like, oh, they're so hilarious. They think that they're their own country, but they are. They're like, oh, it's hilarious. Why don't you just go to the Spain airport? It's right next door.
Is it really? It's close?
It's not the right next door, but it's close by enough that, you don't need to build an airport for your tiny country. But it's just hilarious. But anyways, more power to them. But the moral of my story really was we got to go up on the mountain. And there's 2 peaks, and there's natural monkeys that live up there.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is if you have any food or anything, those monkeys will find it and they will get it.
Oh yeah.
And they'll attack you. If you have some food, they'll jump on you and steal it and like hit you or whatever.
Yeah.
Because they're smart, like they know what's up. But the crazy thing is, so the monkeys just live up on the top and they never go down into the city. So the bottom part there's like a mountain and then it's kind of flat just for a little bit.
Okay.
And that's where the city part is. But the monkeys don't come down; they live like up top, which is kind of crazy. But they kind of keep them up there a little bit too because they kind of feed them, so they're semi-natural, but also somewhat semi.
Just to control them a bit.
Controlled.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is you can just walk up to them and you shouldn't pet them because they might bite you. But if they like crawl on you or climb on you, like you're just supposed to like let it happen.
Yeah.
But so then like a few weeks later, I went to a zoo.
monkey across the.
Yeah. A few weeks later, I went to a zoo, and they were like the same kind of similar monkeys, but it was in this giant cage, and I'm just like, this is hilarious. Like a couple weeks ago, I was touching these monkeys.
Yeah.
And they were all around me. There was tons, hundreds and hundreds, and there's like 7 in this little cage.
In South Africa, you can go and pet lions or lion cubs. Excuse me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, that's crazy. That's so cool because it's Africa.
Yeah.
The funny thing too is, so the Strait of Gibraltar, it's right where Africa, you can see Africa from Gibraltar. Like, you can literally see it. It's Morocco.
Is it on the eastern side of Africa?
It's on the west.
It's on the western side.
So, like, if Spain, like in Europe, is like right above it, Africa's like down here. Africa's down here, and then this is an audio podcast, so I'm doing a visual, but it's on the west side.
Okay.
So the Strait of Gibraltar's like right here, the sea's here, the ocean's here, and from the mountain you can literally see Africa.
Okay, yeah.
And we actually went to Morocco one day, me and my family.
Cool.
Yeah, so I've been to Africa, technically, for one day.
Been to Africa.
Technically.
Check that off.
3rd continent.
Nice.
But, yeah, we got on that whole thing because we were talking about Boy Scouts and penises. But so... Number 1, you were saying if you want to become Jewish, you have to be uncircumcised. What else do you have to do to become Jewish?
I'm sure there's some kind of ritual and prayer service that you go to, but I really don't know much about it. I've never known.
Do real Jews see them as Jewish?
Yeah.
But like you said, you're the chosen people. This guy's just like, because he like cut some skin off and he did a service, like now he's all of a sudden part of your culture and religion.
As
and
long
whatever.
as he's a good person and he's practicing, I don't think anyone would have any problems with it. Jewish people overall are just very welcoming. Yeah,
it's true. One weird thing too is like most religions kind of have this I guess ritual of spreading their message and trying to recruit more people, but Jews aren't like that because it's like we're already Jewish, so
it's an exclusive club.
It's a club, bro. You're not invited.
Yeah.
But it is funny how like most other, or at least a lot of other religions are kind of trying to recruit people into it, and there's that just doesn't exist because there's no part of it. Yeah, it's just interesting. But dude, let's talk about fitness. So you said you were in Israel and you got into fitness. How did you get into that?
So. All my childhood, I was pretty overweight. I was
kind of chubby.
Yeah, I was what people would consider skinny fat, which is a big midsection, big round tummy, and tiny limbs. The exact opposite of what I wanted.
Funniest looking people, to be honest.
Yeah, so I definitely had obviously interactions that may have stuck with me because of that. I never used to. Or take my shirt off at the beach. I used to go.
What kind of interactions did you have? Like comments that people made?
Yeah, just the average, middle school type of comments, whatever it is. I used to like wear sweaters all through summer. I had pretty low self-image growing up. And in Israel, I had a good bit of free time. We used to wake up at about 6 a.m. and go and work in a greenhouse until lunchtime. And then after lunch, we pretty much had the rest of the day off. So I had my laptop with me and I just started educating myself as much as I could about fitness and the best way of going about this. And they had like a rinky-dink old gym on the village, and I just made do with what I had over there, and I just started doing it, you know.
Like some free weights and stuff?
Yeah, just the basic stuff. I used to, you know, I started going on runs, running a good bit. I used to lift some weights. I used to train abs a lot. And there were some other counselors on the camp who were very much into fitness, and they were very welcoming. They were very, very open to share all of the info and go on the runs with me. They were going into the military, so they had to be fit. In Israel, it's mandatory for you to go into the military.
Yeah,
so
that's another interesting thing that I feel like kind of brings everyone together there. It's like everyone, it's kind of so militaristic because everyone's been in the military.
Yeah, everyone served in some way. So there were some guys there who, you know, used to go running with me, and we used to do pull-ups before and after every single meal we had. It was just like, it became what we did.
How many could you do? Like, could you do any in the beginning?
I couldn't do any in the beginning, none.
That's kind of similar to me. I remember like growing up in middle school, like I couldn't do any pull-ups.
Zero.
That was the one thing that like was going to stop me from getting like the presidential fitness test award or whatever.
Okay.
It was the pull-ups. But I ended up being able, if you didn't do pull-ups, you could do chin-ups, or you could do, it was called a flexed arm hang, which is basically you're just holding the pull-up position and just holding it there.
Yeah.
And then in Boy Scouts, for the personal fitness...
Have you tried that lately?
It's pretty hard.
It is tough, yeah.
Yeah.
Even if you hold it at like a 90-degree bend at your elbows, that's tough.
The ninja training, like going to slingshot and like ninja quest and stuff, a lot, like my biceps are so sore after that because of like the flexed arm hangs you have to do.
Isometric training, which basically means holding a flexed position for a period of time, is tough, and it definitely elicits muscle gain.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because you're just holding that flex, you're applying torque to the muscle.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
So yeah, my biggest tip for anyone who cannot do pull-ups right now but wants to is just do them as much as you can. Put a pull-up bar in a doorway that you frequent, and every single time you cross that doorway, try a pull-up. And the first 1,000 times that you try it, 100 times that you try it, you're not going to be able to do any, but you're going to be activating those muscles. And eventually you're gonna do one, and once you do one, you're gonna drop and you're gonna go, wow, I just did a pull-up. But then you're gonna be able to do one pull-up every time you go, and then you're gonna be able to do two, and it's just gonna go from there. That's exactly how I got my first pull-up.
Wow.
Yeah, the pull-up, it's a body weight calisthenic movement, so you're not exactly taxing the muscles too drastically. It's not like getting over a deadlift bar and pulling 300 pounds and taxing your central nervous system. Like you can do pull-ups every day and your body will be pretty much okay.
Yeah, I feel like pull-ups and push-ups, you can kind of just do them every day.
Yeah.
And there's tons of people that do that.
Yep.
One other thing that's interesting is that people don't think about is I feel like they typically think of the pull-up as an arm exercise.
No.
But it is lots of back and core, and you're activating a lot of muscles.
Yes, very much so.
And I think that's one thing that people neglect to train is their backs, because you can't see it in the mirror.
I was training two guys today. They're twins, and they're getting into modeling, and they sing. They're going out to California, so they're trying to look real good before they go out to California. And today I took them through a back workout, and they were telling me that they never train their back. And I asked them why, and they were like, because we can't really see it. And I was like, okay.
But having a sculpted back is very attractive. Like Absolutely. If you see some guy with like a flat back, it's kind of just like subconsciously you might not realize like, oh, that guy doesn't have a very muscular back, but he kind of just looks like a weakling, when you just got no definition.
If you've got
in your back.
A wide back, wide shoulders, wide lats,
V-taper,
V-taper, exactly. You look good in shirts. I mean, yeah.
Totally.
You need to train your back, also for your function and your health.
Exactly, and you don't want to be lopsided and hunched over because all your muscles are on the front side.
Yep.
But anyways, so you were in Israel and you got into fitness. You started doing pull-ups, started doing some free weights, running, all that kind of stuff. did you lose a bunch of weight? Did you gain muscle? Like how much? And you were there for 3 months?
I was in Israel for 6 months. Wow. I was doing that all 6 months. I was even doing that really in Tel Aviv. So I lost weight. I probably lost about 15, 20 pounds.
Wow. How much did you weigh back then?
I don't know.
How old are you?
Honestly, I have no idea. I was 19.
So this was after high school.
Right after high school.
So you finished at Johns Creek, graduated, and then you went to Israel for 6 months.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. I don't know how much I weighed. I can tell you that I probably weigh now close to what I weighed before I started this whole fitness journey.
That's funny, but the transformation, the ratios are completely different.
Exactly.
They're probably flipped.
The body composition is different. The amount of muscle versus fat is different. 100%. Yeah, so
you got into it mainly for aesthetic reasons. You wanted to look better.
I did.
Did you care about feeling better too, or is it mainly like I just want to be able to be confident?
Honestly, it was
take my shirt off.
Yep, that's it. That's what it started as.
There's no problem with that either.
No, I know. That's what it started as. It's definitely grown into something else. What I realized was that, changing my body and being that committed to something crept out into other areas of my life. And allowed me to be, more confident in my own skin and not overcompensate with personality and things like that. B, it allowed me to, understand what really goes into seeing results in anything. It takes work. It does. It takes structure. It takes a program, knowing what you're doing. So education, structure, and just work ethic. And that's definitely translated a lot into other areas of my life. Now I know that if I have a goal, whether it be in business or in personal relationships, family, whatever it is, like you have to set a goal, you have to have structure, you have to know exactly what you need to be doing day to day, and you need to put in the work. You need to do it and stick to it.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, dude. Yeah. I think that having, like you said, the discipline to do it over a long period of time. Mm-hmm. That's the biggest thing.
Patience as well, yeah.
Yeah, because in the beginning, you're going to be working out day after day after day, and you're not going to be seeing results, and you got to be okay with that and trust the process.
Yes, very important.
That's the biggest thing, because you're not going to be able to transform your body because you've literally... your body is a product of all the decisions that you've made previously.
Very well put.
Everything that you've put into your body and everything that you've done with your body it's a product. Everything's compounded. So if you've done that for 18 years, you can't expect that your entire body's going to change in 5 days.
Exactly. That's
it might take another couple years. Thank God it doesn't take another 18 years to change it.
It's
true. You can change it fairly quickly if you put in the hard work.
Mm-hmm.
Like in comparison to how long it's been in a non-healthy state.
Right. You're absolutely right. That's the one thing that I think most of my clients struggle with and I really just have to preach to them, like, trust the process, be patient. So they want to see results immediately.
And the scale will lie to you.
Scale will lie to you. Absolutely.
The numbers don't matter really.
Body fat percentage.
It's a good track. It's good to, kind of know where you're at, but as far as numbers dropping doesn't necessarily mean you're losing the weight in the right places.
I mean, it depends on your goal as well. If you're overweight to the point where you need to drop pounds and stay at a lower weight, then be on the scale.
For sure. I agree 100%. But if you're at a point where you're trying to, I almost compare it to when I first really got into fitness. You become never satisfied. You become happy with the way that you look,
right?
But you're never satisfied. There's always like one little thing, and that was the first time I could ever really, you hear it all the time that girls are so hypercritical of their bodies. Like, oh, I wish I had an ass like this girl, or oh, I wish my teeth weren't fucked up, or oh, I wish my lips were different, or my nose is crooked, or they have all these little things that they know that is messed up about their quote unquote messed up about their body, but that's what makes them right?
Very true.
Like, if you go and get plastic surgery and fix yourself all up, like, that's not you. And there's some kind of weird human recognition that you can kind of tell sometimes especially when it's a botched job and it looks bad. But even the good ones, like, you can still kind of tell, like, there's something just unnatural about this that kind of
and it also
turns me off in a weird way.
It speaks volumes when you would rather put in the work to change your body than to go and just get it
the
surgically
funny
done?
one is, I was talking with this, I think it was episode 8 with my friend Elizabeth.
What episode is this?
I think this is episode 12.
I'm your sloppy 12th seconds.
Dude, we're going to go into the hundreds, bro.
No, that's okay.
Dude, 12 is high, bro.
I'm honored.
But surprisingly, it's funny because one of the major themes of my podcast is definitely going to be fitness and health.
Yeah.
You are the third personal trainer that I've had on so far. But actually, with the other trainers that I've had on, we haven't gotten like in as much depth about training and stuff. So I'm actually happy we're kind of going on this route.
Let's do it.
My friend Adam, he was the first episode. He's a trainer, but he runs a meal prep business.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so we talked about that a
him.
lot. Yeah, definitely, I will. And then also my friend Ashlyn that I talked about, we talked a lot more about kind of like yoga and meditation and finding your happiness.
Something I've been getting into.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, we can talk about that too. But anyways, to kind of go back to what we were just talking about, like one thing that I wanted to bring up was, what do you think about this new like fat acceptance movement that people are kind of trying to push, and this whole, fat shaming, don't make fun of fat people? I mean, this sounds like a dick thing to say, but I think fat shaming kind of works, you know? It's like it worked for you, right?
It worked
like
for me, right?
Some comments that were made and you decided like, I need to change the way my body is.
The problem is it could go either way. It depends on who the person...
You could go into spiraling depression and suicide. I agree with that, but at the same time, you know, you're not going to change unless you
have a stimulus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
The barrier to entry of moving your body and just exercising is very, very low.
That's very true.
All you got to do is move.
Everyone has floor space.
Everyone has floor space.
Yeah.
And everyone can do some push-ups.
Yep.
Everyone, you might not have a pull-up bar. You could do some jumps, find a wall and do some little box jumps.
Yeah, no.
You could do, you can run, obviously. Just moving your body in any way.
Yep.
But
the problem is it's not a lack of equipment or a lack of space. It's just literally a lack of knowledge. People don't know what they don't know. Yep. And when they don't know what they don't know, they like to stick with what they do know because it's easier. It's the path of least resistance. And usually what they know is not going to help them change their body.
Wow, well put. That's very true. Yeah, it's a lack of knowledge rather than a lack of,
Yeah, I run assessments right now with people. So, part of my job at the gym, part of my position is that I will give new members an assessment, which is really just, again, an education tool.
And it's also kind of trying to get them to buy personal training sessions too, right?
Well, yeah.
But that's good because you want them, if you're assessing them and you can kind of get comfortable with them and help them set some goals.
I have no problem whatsoever selling personal training and with the term selling, because what I'm selling is beneficial for your health.
Exactly.
Like, I'm not selling you snake oil.
Exactly. You're selling you're selling something that will transform their life for the better forever.
Yeah, exactly. So I have no problem with it. But, I run these assessments and... What was I talking about? What was I saying before?
We were talking about fat shaming and all that kind of stuff and the knowledge. People just don't have the knowledge.
Oh, the knowledge, right. So, one of the questions that I'll usually ask people is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your knowledge of resistance training? And I get some funny responses. I'll get people who will say, I'm probably like an 8 or a 9 because I took PE in high school. I'm like, oh, okay, That's cool.
The funny thing is that you said that, is I was actually just about to bring that up, but keep going. I'm going to mention that in a second.
Yeah, and then I'll get some people who will say, yeah, I've done this before. Like I'll have 30, 40-year-olds who are in bad shape, real bad shape. They haven't taken any care of their health in the last 20 years. But they tell me that they're an 8 or a 9 or a 10 even because they used to do it in high school, or they used to be a sports player, whatever it is.
They used to. That's a big common theme, I feel like.
Yeah,
they used to do sports in high school, and then they got to college and became sedentary.
And then they think, I know what I'm doing. And my usual response to that is the fact that I would say I know a good deal about resistance training from my years of research day in, day out, but I would probably only rate myself like a 5 or a 6 at the most, simply because every single day I'm learning something new, and it's kind of gotten me to the point now where I'm like, I don't know what I don't know. So I never want to rate myself too high because there's always going to be room to learn. We have 8 coaches, 8 personal trainers in that gym, and every single one of them knows something that I don't and can share it with me. So I would never say I'm above a 5 or a 6. And I tell that to these people, and they're like, you know what, that makes sense. Let's go ahead and put me at a 3 if you're a 5. And I'm like, okay.
Humble yourself. Because that's the thing is, that's one thing that I hate when people, they'll say like, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, blah, blah, blah. Like when people, for example, oh, I'm going to rate this girl, I'm gonna say she's an 8. It's like, okay.
What, in terms of like hotness?
Yeah, or something like that. Or when people are rating anything in, a lot of times people will go on the super high scale and it's like, dude, you gotta think about it. Like, if you're rating girls on hotness or something, a lot of them have to be 5s because that means that it's average. You know what I mean? Like, you can't say every girl's a 10.
You're saying it's all relative.
It's all relative of everybody.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just say like, oh yeah, well, I'm probably a 10. Because that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I get that.
That means you're the smartest person about it at all, ever. Why are you fat if you're a 10? That doesn't make any sense. But anyways, I digress. Fat shaming, though.
I haven't encountered it. I haven't, encountered anyone who is outwardly like, oh, I'm totally fine being fat and you should be ashamed that you're trying to get me fit. But then again, the people that I'm interacting with day to day are
people
coming
that willingly come to the gym.
Exactly. They're coming to the gym for a reason. So
that's true.
They're there to better themselves, which I'm super happy about. I love working in that environment.
Yeah, that's amazing. And working in a gym is just a positive environment anyways. Me and Ashlyn kind of talked about that a little bit because she was working at Crunch in Johns Creek.
Cool.
And she was saying like it's just so positive because everyone there is there because they're trying to change their life.
It's very true.
And the people that are there because they're out of shape and they need to get in shape, like, that's great. They're, maybe they don't really want to be there, but at least they're there. Mm-hmm. And then there's also a lot of people that are in the fitness kind of community. There's like a big community around it.
Yeah.
And you can meet a lot of cool people there because, like you said, it takes a lot of dedication, commitment, all that kind of stuff. You're also going to meet some douchebags and some people that are very vain and only care about their appearance. But there's also a lot of people that are very welcoming and kind and very nice and well-balanced human beings.
It all comes back to environment,
Definitely.
You'll get more douchebags in certain other gyms
where
the environment, dictates that.
Yeah.
At UFIT, we don't see any of that.
Yeah. So just to kind of give people an idea, so you're actually the general manager at a gym here in Alpharetta.
Club manager in Alpharetta, yeah.
That's awesome. So you're the head honcho at the gym.
Yeah.
Whatever you say goes.
I don't.
You don't own it, but you're the head manager.
Yeah.
Like there's no one at the gym that's necessarily like higher than you on a day-to-day basis.
That's my baby. That's my business.
That's really cool.
Of the business, yeah.
That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
So people need a gym membership, they got to hit you up.
Yeah, for sure.
Heck yeah. If you live in Alpharetta.
$10 a month.
There we go. You can't beat that. Everyone's got $10.
Plug in UFIT.
There we go.
Yeah.
But I was going to say a second ago, before I forget about this, you said a lot of people mentioned, I took PE in high school, so I know a lot.
Yeah.
But you know what the surprising thing is actually PE gave me a pretty good basis. At least at my school, I had a really good teacher. She was a coach and that was actually very passionate about
you're lucky then.
Teaching PE because most coaches do not give a fuck.
No, they don't, and they
my
don't teach it
right. My teacher was
right.
this really, she was strict. It was a lady, but she told us the first day. She said the reason why we're doing these weight training exercises and you're doing these is because I want you to be comfortable enough to be able to walk into a gym and know what you're doing and not feel awkward and not feel like you don't know what to do, and ultimately so that you could walk up to a machine confidently and use it, and that's
you
one
had a great
big
teacher then, yeah.
That's one. I feel like a huge reason why people won't even go to a gym is because they'll feel stupid. They're like, I don't know how to work any of the equipment.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what to do. I feel dumb. I'm fat. Everyone here is beautiful and skinny. I don't want to go to that environment.
And people need to understand that all it takes is just reaching out to someone who does know.
Exactly. And most people at the gym should respect you for trying to make that type of commitment and trying to get better.
Absolutely.
There are obviously douchebags that will make fun of you if you have bad form. There's going to be douchebags that exactly.
Just don't
exactly
look at
pay them no attention.
Yeah.
We all agreed that they're douchebags, and especially if you're at a gym that's a decent gym. I'm sure at UFIT, you can come up to any of the staff members and ask them questions. And once you become a member, you're going to go through an assessment like with Jamie or with somebody else that you're going to learn exactly what you need to know, and you're going to learn that you need to make a game plan and goals and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think that this whole fat acceptance movement is toxic to our society.
Very stupid.
I get it that you can be comfortable in your own skin, and I get it of the whole self-love kind of thing, love the body you're in. but don't abuse that's the thing. It's like, I can understand if you have some sort of health problems and you're fat, and you know, maybe you have an issue with a thyroid issue or whatever. I can understand that. But you should still, on a day-to-day basis, be trying to fight that.
Actively trying to better yourself.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Because one side of you could just say, oh, well, I have a problem, fuck it, I'm just going to let it consume my entire body until I die. The other part of it... It's not
a good mentality for anything.
Fight it. You've got to fight it and you know...
Yeah.
Move your body. Mm-hmm. We were given, you know, what you don't use, you lose.
So the fact that...
move your body, you lose.
The fat acceptance movement's just a whole... thing for complacency then? Like I said, I haven't really...
Yeah, well, I think the whole fat acceptance movement and like I guess it's not even...
I'm
people
hoping
that are
it's just
in it
a
wouldn't
fad.
call it fat acceptance, but I think it's more deep-seated than a fad. I think it's the resistance of the whole, like, you know, girls are always so enthralled by the skinny girls they see on magazines and, you know,
all the media and social media
and all this stuff. And it's like the retaliation against that. So it's like, be confident in the body that you're in, which I'm 100% in agreement with. I do not disagree with that at all. The problem that I do have is you should not be comfortable in the body you're in if that body is
unhealthy.
Yes. If you cannot move, if you cannot run.
It's binary. It's a very, very black and white thing. It is. Adipose tissue is not healthy on your body. Fat tissue I'm talking about. And if you have a lot of it, you're going to be unhealthy. It's
just the bottom line.
Yeah.
And there's a multitude of symptoms and other underlying problems that are caused by all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. It all starts with the mind, though.
It does.
Yeah.
It all starts with that you got to make that choice to shift.
Yeah.
What do you think is the main factor for people coming into your gym? What do people typically say? Like if they're out of shape or overweight?
Other priorities. They don't say that. They'll say, you know, I've been busy, but that's really all it is.
You just haven't made it a priority.
Or I don't have time. I hear that one a lot, obviously. The generic old I don't have time. And it's not really, I try to get them to understand that it's not really so much that they didn't have time. It's that they had other priorities, which is fine. It's totally fine to have.
But don't lie to yourself.
Just understand what it is. Understand that it's not so much a matter of you not physically having enough time to exercise, because everyone can do like a little 20-minute workout 3 days a week and be better off.
Literally, just 20 minutes, that's all it takes.
Yeah, seriously.
It's compound effect.
But
you do 20 minutes a day, that adds up to, you know, an hour every 3 days. You know, it's like 20 minutes doesn't seem like a lot, but over the course of years and years.
Yeah. Have you read The Compound Effect?
Yeah, I love that book. That was a life changer for me.
Yeah, me
love
too.
It.
Me too.
Like that one and Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I
think that was the first like self-help kind of book that I ever read.
Really? I kind of read it a little bit later, and I just just had like so many moments where I was like, holy crap, I've been taking advice from the wrong people my whole life.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And no one will tell you that. They won't teach you it in school. They won't teach you it anywhere. You gotta figure it out.
So do you listen to the Gary Vaynerchuk podcasts or watch
occasionally,
his videos?
He puts out so much content that sometimes it's just like a fire hose, and I can't really control what I'm listening to. But I just see his content so much that I've got to take a break from it sometimes. And right now I'm on one of those breaks.
I get it.
But I am a hardcore Vayniac for sure. That was what he used to call his fans.
His message stays consistent, and the reason I bring him up is because what we were talking about, how like the whole fat acceptance and social media plays a huge part in, you know, everyone has a phone in their hand, everyone has Instagram really nowadays, and they all go and see everyone's perfect little lives on Instagram, right?
They're fake
bubble lives.
Yep, they're fake little highlight reels.
Exactly. And if you don't consciously know that that's not what this person is like day to day, then, and that's what you're going to base, you know, your entire perception of them about, and all the fitness people, that's what you're going to base your entire perception of them about. Yeah, you're going to be fucked up mentally. You're going to think you're a worthless piece of trash. And you just got to know that.
I think more people would rather be attractive on Instagram than in real life.
You know?
Powerful. Yeah. It's true, though. You know, it's like they want to be outwardly for the world, you know, got it all together.
I told you I was going to post on Instagram for the first time today, but seriously, the last time that I posted on Instagram, I'm opening it up for you now. And I'll tell you why It's simply because August 27th, 2014.
Was that when you were packing those like cotton candy things?
Yes.
That's hilarious.
3 years ago was the last time that I posted on Instagram.
Wow.
And it's because I have just wanted to work in silence. I
love that, dude. I love that. I love that so much.
I want to let my results,
Dude, because so many people on Instagram in the fitness community, all they want to do is just post selfies every day of their progress. And that is not like I've made leaps and bounds in my own progress as far as my physique. I've posted like...
You have, for sure.
I've posted like one or two, like I'll post like a shirtless picture of me like at the beach or something or whatever if I'm on like vacation or something. But rarely am I trying to flex like that because I just think it puts off a weird vibe.
It does, for sure.
And like, I don't have to stroke my own ego by doing that. You know, like once a year maybe I'll post and like say, yo, here's my progress. I've been doing really good. Or like, I'd rather kind of post, like the other day on Facebook, I posted a video of me doing the ninja course stuff.
Okay, cool.
Like, I like showing that off too, because that's fun and that's cool. Like,
skills and
look
abilities.
what I've learned to do.
Exactly.
And like, posted a video when I deadlifted 300 pounds.
Nice.
Like, that's a big accomplishment. That's cool. Yeah. And like, I would rather show that off than like show off my body necessarily.
Right.
Because if you want to see my body, like, I feel like I'm building my body for myself and like, you know,
same, exactly.
If you know, if we're at the pool or whatever and you see it, then great. Cool. Like, I look great, but like, I'm not
doing it for anyone else.
Feeling the need to post it everywhere.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I think I'm going to start posting more on Instagram simply because I want, number one, to be able to share information.
Yeah, if you can make informative posts, that's the best. Informative posts,
exactly. And then number two, I also definitely want to start to, you know, not even gonna lie, I want to be able to monetize some of this. I want to be able to monetize the effort that I'm putting into my body. I spend so much money on, you know, health foods and supplements and protein and things like that.
Might as well try to share it with the world and
might as well try
to make money.
Get it for free if I'm being sponsored.
That's true too.
Yeah. Why not?
That's very true too.
Just try and streamline everything. But I definitely think there's a lot of, you know, BS on social media when it comes to fitness. That I definitely want to, you know, combat.
Yeah. So to kind of go back to your story a little bit, when did you become a trainer? When did you get like certified and all that?
It was probably about 2 years ago now.
Okay. So before that, you were just like super into fitness and just, you know, was that before you went and did the bodybuilding competition? Or you were certified after that?
I think I only became certified after I did that physique show.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So you were, you know, just getting really into fitness. I remember you did like one of those mud races too.
Yep, Savage Race.
You did the Savage Race?
Twice.
I want to do that one.
You know, I won that, right?
You won it?
I won Savage Race, yeah.
Like literally?
Yep.
Did you go to nationals or whatever?
They invited me to the obstacle course world championships in Cincinnati.
Wow, that's crazy.
Didn't go though.
Yeah, you know my friend Connor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he like goes to those. Like he's... I'm getting him on the podcast soon. He actually started his own podcast recently too.
Nice.
So we'll be guests on each other's.
I think me and him, we actually showed each other our screenshots of our race results, showing each other like our placing.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's cool, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, I did one of those races recently. Did you do that race before? Yeah, you did that race like a while ago.
I think that was probably 2014
and that was kind of when you were just getting into fitness, or
yeah.
That's cool. Because I remember because I knew you in high school. Then I remember seeing pictures of you on Facebook, like flexing with like mud all over you. I'm like, holy shit, Jamie got jacked. Like, I need to put in some work. Jamie's getting jacked, man.
Came back from Israel, a different person.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was nice.
That's really, really cool. So,
training for 2 years.
So, you've been into fitness now for like 5 or 6 years, I guess?
I'd say 5, yeah.
Wow.
Training seriously now for probably 3.5, 4.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so you decided to do bodybuilding competition. I was able to go to it, which was cool. I'd never been to one.
You were like the only person, you know, in my corner.
I was your only friend.
You and my dad.
Yep, and your girlfriend at the time.
Yeah.
But seriously, it was like she was obligated, and so was your dad. It's like I was your only friend that went, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
But I'd never been to a bodybuilding competition. What was your experience leading up to that? How did you decide you were going to do it? You know, would you do it again?
Yeah, I think I'll do it again. it's not the whole industry that I necessarily want to go into.
Yeah.
Because I've noticed
slightly
there's a lot
douchey, I feel
slightly
like.
douchey, the whole flexy type of vibe that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of politics as well that goes into all of those contests that I didn't really know about at the time. But
Totally. And it's very strange because me and Ashlyn talked about this because she was in a competition as well. She did. I think she competed in the bikini competition, whatever it is. And isn't that what the girls is called?
Yeah,
it's
there's bikini and figure.
Bikini and figure, yeah. Because the men's is called physique and
bodybuilding.
Yeah. So she competed in the figure. Is that the
more muscular?
No, the toned down one.
Bikini,
yeah. So she competed in bikini. And we were talking about it, and it's like people see those people, and it's like you don't understand. Those people are like on the verge of death. They're severely dehydrated.
Oh yeah.
You cannot maintain that look for more than a few hours, and it's kind of like a weird like pageant, like fashion show.
That's exactly what it is.
It's very odd.
It is. It's very
strange.
I
got some being there was cool to support you and stuff, but like there was definitely some weird vibes.
There were some weird people for sure.
Definitely weird people there, and like you've got these like grown men and like people cheering for them, and like it's
I think the only reason why I would want to do it again is just to see like the amount of work that it takes to see how far you can really push your body.
Exactly.
That's why I did it.
I feel like it gives you some credibility as a trainer too, because I feel like people can look up to that. They're like, wow, yeah, my trainer, like I've seen him in his peak form. Like he really knows how to get where I want to get. Yeah. So I should take advice from him.
But at the same time, you could be very, very credible and not, kill yourself like you were saying.
I understand,
deplete
but
yourself.
I think people that don't know what they're talking about see that and they're very impressed.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't realize that those people that you're on the verge of death, basically, that you're severely dehydrated, that
I cramped up so bad. The workout, the 1 week before, I was on the floor in my gym, cough cramping like crazy.
Wow.
Just like I couldn't move for 20 minutes. It was so bad.
Wow.
Yeah.
So explain to people. So for people who have no idea, so you're in a bodybuilding competition and. Like you said, kind of what was your motivation, and then what were some kind of misconceptions that you didn't even know would happen that ended up happening or stuff like that?
So first off, I had no idea what I was doing. I hired a coach. Who was a trainer at the gym that I was at the time, and he kind of bailed on me halfway through.
Huh.
Yeah, so I had no coach for the 4 weeks leading up to the show.
I feel like that's the most important part.
Yeah, right? It's a long story why he bailed on me. He was a bit of a tool. But so I was kind of on my own doing it, learning, and it's very much an experimentation. It's an experiment. You have to learn what works with your body, what doesn't. What was really cool about it was the manipulation of the carbohydrate, sodium, and water intakes in that final week beforehand. So how most people do it is they'll manipulate their carbohydrate intake, sodium levels, and water intake to a point where they can look leanest but most full on.
Because you don't want to look, not saggy, but your muscles need to be pumped up.
Correct, exactly. So, there's a couple different ways of going about it's called peak week.
Yeah, and everyone's got a different theory, I feel like, a little bit slightly. Everyone's got their own little theories of what you need to do.
So I had no idea what the heck I was doing.
So you were probably just watching a lot of YouTube videos and doing research. So what was your carb intake like?
For the last week leading up to it, it was nearly zero. I was basically doing just vegetable, like leafy greens and tilapia. And honestly, if I do it again,
why tilapia?
Because it's supposed to thin your skin out, thin the,
Huh.
Yeah, but
so your skin is more taut against the muscles, so you can see the fibers of the muscles better.
If I do it again, Andrew, though, I'm gonna do it a completely different way. I'm not gonna deplete myself like that. I'm not gonna kill myself. You can do it.
It's not healthy.
It's not healthy. Not at all. I was like lightheaded in the Walmart the night before, trying to find granola because it's very low in sodium and low in fat, high in carbs. And like I was almost going to faint.
So the night before you need to eat more carbs to pump up. Is that the deal?
That was how I was doing it.
You carb load a little bit?
Yeah, carb load. Day of, morning of. Which basically, draws the water.
I bet you that was a hilarious sight. You're like lightheaded, stumbling into Walmart and you're
Super
like
tan.
super spray tanned.
Yeah, super tan. Man,
And didn't they tell you that you weren't tan enough? That was like one of their critiques of you or something. They're like, you should have been darker.
No.
I've heard. I remember it wasn't you. It was a different guy that I talked to. He was
black.
dark. You were pretty black.
Yeah.
One of the critiques of him was that he wasn't dark enough. And he was dark.
That's not even his fault. Like, he doesn't get to control,
Yeah,
what
well,
kind
the
of
spray
tan.
tan, though. They were saying you should have gotten a more intense spray tan or whatever.
That's literally nothing he could have done. It's not like when I did the spray tan, it's not like I got to pick a color. I go into the tent and I'm just like standing there nearly butt naked and get sprayed. That's it. They're the ones that control it. So that sucks for him.
Spray tan is hilarious.
Yeah, it was very funny. But yeah, I would do it a different way. I've been reading a lot of research articles and journals and things like that of people who are able to do it not depleting themselves. It takes longer and it takes more work, but you basically just keeping everything very consistent a good period of time out before the show, and then slowly cutting back on calories and manipulating and such forth that you don't have to go below 1,000 calories. You don't have to deplete water. There's people who compete on gallons of water.
Below 1,000 calories?
I think I was at like 1,200, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
That's low.
And right now I'm eating like 2,800 and cutting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say 2,800. I was like, geez, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, 1,200, that's insane.
So, there's things called reverse dieting, which there's a lot of
hype around right now.
Yes, exactly. Which is basically just literally, week to week or month to month. Again, there's different approaches, but increasing your caloric intake and your carbohydrate intake in a structured manner so that you build a metabolism. You build your metabolism to a point then when you need to cut back down, you're able to cut on higher amounts of calories.
So in layman's terms, for someone listening to this, so reverse dieting is essentially eating more food, but losing weight and getting more of the results that you want.
No, so you eat more food, but you're not losing weight when that happens. You're just simply building your metabolism up so that when you do
cut, your metabolism is so high that it's running at rapid speed
you're
and
able
you're
to
going to burn way more.
Exactly. You're able to go into a caloric deficit at a higher amount of calories consumed.
That's one of the silliest things that I feel like I hear all the time is I don't want to generalize, but it's a lot of times it's girls. They're very conscious of like eating less. And it's like you understand that you're slowing your metabolism down. Your body's going into a starvation mode where it's trying to hang on to every single calorie that it takes in. Mm-hmm. And you're giving yourself the opposite effect of what you want. Mm-hmm. That's very it. True. You're holding on to fat. Your body's like, we got to hang on to this fat.
Yeah.
We're going to starve if she keeps not eating this.
Yeah, I mean, that's a biological... that's something biological in us. Goes back to like caveman times when, we would sometimes go weeks without food. So Our body would hold on to every ounce of fat we had.
And this is a perfect segue into ketosis.
Oh, there we go.
So, do you want to kind of explain it?
Well, I've done a ketogenic, eating plan. I did it for, I'd say 3 months. And the only reason I stopped was because I just really got bored with what I was eating.
I feel you.
Like, I've really come to enjoy just having a balanced... amount of food, eating whatever I want, but making sure that my macronutrient intake is pretty consistent, and that way I'm very flexible, and I sit around 11% body fat.
Nice.
6-pack showing all the time. So
yeah.
But so you've been doing it for 2 months now, right?
About I could figure out the exact date, but I'm not thinking of it. But yeah, it's probably been around 2 months. Lots of avocados, lots of eggs, high fat meats.
So do you know how many carbs you're taking? Are you tracking it?
I'm taking, this is how I started tracking it in the begining. I was very religious about it in the beginning, tracking every single thing.
How many carbs were you doing then?
I was trying to do less than 50. Okay. But 50 grams for people listening.
Yeah.
But what I learned on a podcast from this guy named Dom D'Agostino. Have you ever heard of him before?
No, I haven't.
He's a professor, I think in like San Diego or something, but he's a huge proponent of the ketogenic diet. And he did a podcast with Tim Ferriss, and he's talking all about the ketogenic diet. And one thing that he talked about was don't count all carbs as your carbs. Take net carbs, meaning carbs minus the fiber.
Yep.
and that's the real carbs. So if you're counting all my carbs, I'm eating a lot of leafy greens. I'm eating lots of spinach, lots of kale. You know, I'm also in the morning giving myself a little bit of salsa and stuff too, so there's some carbs in that.
Okay.
But just to mix with my eggs and stuff, make it a little more tasty. But it's very small amounts.
Gotcha.
And most of my carbs are definitely coming from vegetables. But like I said, when you're netting out the fiber, it's almost like nothing.
Gotcha.
So
the reason I ask is because most people don't know how low carb you really have to go.
You really have to go real
to go
low.
into ketosis. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to go very, very low. And
there's sneaky carbs.
yeah, there definitely are some sneaky carbs. What are some examples? Nuts. I feel like people
Nuts
are
have
like
carbs, yeah.
nuts. They're like, oh well, they're super high fat. I'm just gonna eat a shit ton of nuts. You can't go overboard with those.
Yep, there you go.
I'll eat some nuts in the afternoon for a snack, a little bit of a pick me up, but I try not to go too overboard. Eat a lot of pistachios,
Okay.
Almonds, and macadamia nuts are really expensive, but they're pretty good and they're super high in fat content.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
And also, I've been eating. It's not the best thing for me for sure because they're super processed, but like these beef jerky sticks,
Okay.
they're like super high in fat, 0 carbs, and like a little bit of protein. Those have been pretty solid for me.
If you're eating a pretty balanced diet,
Everything else I'm eating is pretty healthy.
Yeah,
you know,
I wouldn't worry about
my
it.
My morning breakfast is always. I talked about this kind of a lot in Ashland's podcast too. So if you've already listened to this, sorry for boring you, but
No, you're good. We don't have to go
exactly.
into it.
But I was just gonna say in the morning I eat like a bunch of eggs, guacamole, a little bit of salsa, and then the evenings I've been basically kind of skipping lunch because I don't really need to eat a lunch. I kind of just snack and have some MCT oil, a little bit, some nuts, maybe some beef jerky or whatever, and then but some beef jerky is super low fat though, and they'll advertise it like that. It's hilarious how many things are advertised as low fat because people think fat is the enemy.
Yep.
And so, like, all the expensive meat is like super low, lean, blah, 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 only 1% fat. And I'm like, give me that 30%, bro. There's that cheap shit, and it's got high fat.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, and then for dinner, I've been having a salad with an avocado and beef on top of it for the meat. So
Gotcha.
with almonds on top, too, sometimes for a little bit of extra.
I saw you doing that oil pull with the MCT oil. Did that
Yeah,
work?
I just started oil pulling. Do you know what it is, really?
Just to help with your cavity, I mean, your teeth, gums, and
there's a lot of
extract
I think it's
all
from
the crap,
India
basically.
originally, but yeah, essentially what oil pulling is, if you're listening to this, you take about 1 to 2 tablespoons of oil, any vegetable-based oil, and you swish it around your mouth for 5 to 20 minutes.
Damn.
The longer you do it, the more effective it is, apparently. Like in the beginning, you might just want to do a few minutes. But then once you kind of get better at it, do more.
I cannot swish liquid around in my mouth
What
for
I've been
20
doing
minutes.
is I'll do it while I'm busy doing something. So I'm like on my
Take your mind off
computer,
it.
like
Yeah.
doing something, editing for the podcast, and I'm just not even thinking about it. I'm just swishing around in my mouth.
Gotcha.
And
Breathing through your nose.
breathing through my nose,
Yeah.
which is kind of healthy, I feel like, to kind of just like breathe through your nose a lot.
Well, 90% of our air gets intake through our nose anyway, and people don't even realize that.
Really? 90%? That's interesting.
Yeah, I just saw on Shark Tank that this guy started a company where he's basically doing nasal screens. Did you see that at all?
No, but that sounds very fascinating. 'Cause
Yeah,
I have a weird issue with my nose a little bit. Like, I can't get as much air as I feel like I should. Like, if I push my nose up a little bit, I can, like, really get a full...
Gotcha.
But if it's pushed up, like, it opens the cavity a little bit more.
Yeah.
But when it's down, I think there's, like, some scar tissue in there. You might eventually have to get it bored out or something.
I mean, these nasal screens, they're not to help you breathe. They're actually just for, like if you're in a
so it's like a little
hospital,
thing that goes up in your nose?
Yeah, exactly. It's like a little sticker that you basically tape over your nostril. And
Oh, it's a nasal screen that filters?
Nasal screen, exactly. And it basically filters so that when you breathe in, it draws in and doesn't allow 99% of bacteria in through the nasal passage, but when you breathe out, it opens back up to allow everything to come out. So, yeah, it's good for like in Asia where they wear a lot of face masks, things like that.
That makes a lot of sense. I was gonna say, I feel like trying to prevent a bunch of bacteria from entering your nose though would maybe diminish your immune system
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah, that's
Because
a
if
whole
you're
nother
intaking,
discussion.
because if 90% of your air is coming in through your nose, obviously you're breathing in tons of bacteria throughout the day.
Yeah.
So that's a somewhat beneficial thing. Could help.
In 200 years, we're probably going to be completely different human beings
We're
that
gonna
have
be
just developed.
half human, half robot.
Yeah.
We're not even going to exist. It's just going to be computers all.
Yeah. What's that movie with Bruce Willis where...
Sixth Sense?
No. where he's... You're basically like the robot version of yourself, and everyone's in just like these, pods, and they're
Matrix?
controlling.
No. Avatar?
No.
Avatar's kind of like that. I know what you're talking about, though. I can't think of the name of it.
Yeah, it was a very strange movie. But that's what
Very
it's going to be like.
Though. And like WALL-E. Have you seen WALL-E?
Upload the human consciousness to a robot, and we all just, chill in safe places and have robots live our lives, and we live forever. Yeah, scary.
It's freaky. Yeah, me and Owen were talking about that earlier. The guy I had the podcast with earlier today, we were talking about, like, what are you? You're just your brain, and then your body is just like your vehicle.
Yep.
So if you can upload your consciousness to some other thing, are you now that thing, or are you still you? What is it? I don't know. It's pretty deep.
Pretty deep.
Hits blunt.
What were we talking about before this?
But before that, we were talking about the ketogenic. And the reason why I brought it up when we were talking about starvation mode and being the bodybuilding thing is also what ketogenic diet is based from deriving your energy source instead of glucose from ketones.
Yep.
So typically... And you're the personal trainer here. You've been trained. I know that in your certification it wasn't super heavy on diet, right? But
I've
enough. And you're an expert. You work in a gym, you're a personal trainer, and you're an expert on this.
Independently, I really like to research the nutrition side of it.
Yeah, that's really awesome. Everything that you break down typically in your body converts to an energy source of glucose, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And your body can also produce an alternate energy source called ketones. And typically the only time your body's going to produce ketones is when you're in a starvation state, or if your essentially your fat levels are so high that your body's breaking down the fat into ketones. And I'm probably butchering this, but your body can essentially take its own fat and turn it into ketones for energy source, and that's kind of the starvation mode that we were talking about.
Well, it becomes more efficient at turning fat to energy when you have no glucose in your system. Your glycogen stores are depleted. And it's running on the ketones. It becomes more efficient at doing that, and then it'll just start to run on, body fat.
Exactly. And I like to think of it as like a bear when they're going into hibernation or something.
It's a good way to put it, yeah.
And I've also heard these crazy stories about how these super, super obese people under doctoral supervision were able to basically starve themselves for like almost full years. And because you're in that state of ketosis, for whatever reason, when you're able to basically, your body eats its own body fat as food. The guy said that he only pooped like once in like 6 months or something crazy. And like...
That seems healthy.
Yeah, but like it's definitely not a recommended way, but it's kind of crazy because since his body was in ketosis, his body was using his own fat for energy.
Yeah.
He was drinking water, so he wasn't dying.
Yeah.
And the craziest part is typically when you have patients that lose tons of weight, you've got all this extra flab and skin.
Mm-hmm.
He had no skin flaps. All of his skin was able to go back to regular size. For whatever reason. I'm not a doctor and I'm not a scientist, so I don't know exactly why. But
that goes a lot into genetics. This genetics kind of predetermines how elastic your skin is. I was having this discussion with one of my clients who's losing a good bit of weight, and that's one of his biggest concerns. He doesn't want to have
a bunch of loose skin flapping around.
And I told him, like, you got to stay hydrated because that's probably the biggest factor that you can control. But a lot of it just comes down to genetics and being patient, because your skin is elastic and it'll shrink. You may just have to give it some time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to kind of give some people some practical knowledge and tips and tricks and whatever, what are like some, I guess, common misconceptions about fitness, about health, about diet, about working out, whatever, that people need to know? Like what if you had a megaphone, you could tell everyone in the world some knowledge about fitness, what like 5 or 6 things would you tell them?
I'll tell them there's no magic pill. Find what you enjoy doing and do that. Understand and educate yourself as much as you can about whatever goal it is you're trying to reach, and don't hesitate to reach out to people and seek ideas and seek knowledge from other people, but then at the same time go and do your due diligence and do your own research to see whether or not that's some bro science bullshit, because there's a lot of that goes around, or whether it's, you know, founded in real science and research studies and proven results. So yeah, do what you know makes you happy. If you don't enjoy your training, you're not going to stick to it. You're spinning your wheels. Also, that plays into your nutrition. Eat the way that makes you happy. You know, there's so many different ways of eating nowadays.
Totally.
Intermittent fasting, ketogenic diets.
And I've been combining that intermittent fasting with the ketogenic thing, because I'm trying to limit my meals to a 10-hour window, or 8 if I can.
Yeah.
And so then it's pretty interesting, because when you're allowing your body to not digest food for a giant portion of the day, you actually have a lot more energy too, because your body's not using so much energy digesting food constantly. Because if you're grazing and snacking all day long, your body is, you know, a lot of its energy source is going towards digesting that food and extracting the nutrients from it. But if you're getting all your nutrients 1 or 2 times a day in big, large things like I'm kind of doing, and then all night long, and
that's another fitness myth as well, is that people think that meal frequency plays into, you know, your metabolism. Basically how many times a day you eat has some kind of effect on your metabolism.
Like snacking and eating 5 smaller meals is better than eating 2.
Yeah, no, that's bullshit. That is bullshit. There is no thermic effect from meal frequency. So if you want to eat twice a day, go ahead and do it, but make sure that those 2 meals give you the exact amount of calories that you need for your goal. And you know, if you really want to break it down even further, the right macronutrient breakdown, the right amount of protein, carbs, and fat.
Yep.
So eat whatever, however works for you, basically.
Yeah. One other interesting thing is people, they have such an aversion towards eating fat. And that's the funniest thing when I tell people that I'm on this ketogenic diet where literally like 75% of my calories are coming from fat.
Yeah.
And I'm losing body fat.
Yeah.
I'm getting more shredded.
Well, what people need to understand is that fat doesn't make you fat. Overeating, overconsumption of calories is what makes you fat. So if you look on it from a scientific standpoint, protein has 4 calories for every gram. I'm sure you know this.
I don't know by heart, but like I get the concept.
So yeah, protein has 4 calories for every gram. Carbohydrates have 4 calories for every gram, and fat has 9 calories for every gram. So what that means is that it's more calorically dense. Less actual amount that you can hold in your hands of fat has more calories. So that being said,
like a handful of nuts is going to be very satiating. You'll be full for a long time.
Yeah,
that's
and
why
it'll have a lot of calories.
Eat trail mix and stuff like that.
Exactly. But you know that being said, you need to make sure that you are controlling your fat intake, because you can very, very easily eat just a little bit too much fat and blow your calories out of the water. So that's what, you know, used to happen to people. That's why there was this whole giant scare of fat making you fat in like the 1990s and stuff. But
because it's the same word, you associate fat with fat. There's a fat guy, and I don't want to eat fat. I don't want to be fat.
Again, education. Just
exactly.
know.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of misinformation for sure.
Yeah.
What are your views on sugar? Do you stay 100% away from sugar? Obviously, processed sugar is a no-go, but what are your views?
So, if you want to, again, look at the science, which is what I try and do every single time, everything breaks down to sugar, like we were saying, right? Everything breaks down to glucose. So, technically, there's no such thing as a bad carbohydrate. That being said, though, there is such a thing as spiking your insulin levels.
Yes.
Right.
That's another thing that I've been loving about the ketogenic diet. I'm not having these crazy spikes.
Yep, absolutely. Your energy levels are more consistent.
So what that basically is, if I get this wrong, feel free to correct me. An insulin spike would be when you ingest a whole bunch of carbohydrates, your insulin levels, which are your blood sugar levels, essentially, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
They're going to shoot way up.
Yep.
And because of that reason, like you were saying, that fats kind of satiate you for longer, proteins will satiate you for longer. Carbohydrates are digested very quickly and easily by the body and give you that quick energy source.
Yes.
So even though you're going to get a huge spike, you're also going to get a very large crash.
And not only that is, once your glycogen stores are full, any carbohydrates that you consume on top of that are just going to be stored as excess fat. Your carbohydrate's not going to be used for energy. It's just going to, get stored as fat because your
body's saving it for later, essentially.
Your glycogen stores are already full, which most people's are usually.
What are glycogen stores exactly?
So glycogen is really just your basic energy currency, if you think about it. It's what your body will primarily pull for, unless you're on a ketogenic diet. It's what your body will primarily pull for energy. And you can deplete your glycogen by movement. I mean, that's what, it uses glycogen.
So, like, for example, if people are in a fat-burning state by jogging on the treadmill or something, like, you don't want to be super high up if your heart rate's, like, super high, you're just going to be depleting your glycogen store, right? And if you're kind of, like, doing a more moderate exercise, you might be burning fat more easily. Is that safe to say or not really?
No, not really. A way you can put it is, if you ever see, like, a marathon runner who will take those gels or eat a bunch of pasta before... Carbohydrates. They're trying to store a whole bunch of glycogen that they can use for their run. That's it. The whole fat burning zone and carbohydrate burning zone.
It's kind of a myth.
No, it's not a myth. If you want to look at the science will say that your body will primarily pull carbohydrates as a source of energy because it's the easiest thing for it to use as energy.
That makes sense.
The easiest way mechanically for your body. It's the easiest thing for your body to mechanically break down for energy. So if you need a quick burst of energy, if you're doing sprints or anything like high intensity, your body's actually going to go for carbohydrates. If you're in a steady state, low heart rate type of, on the treadmill, incline, whatever, your body doesn't necessarily need that carbohydrate breakdown immediately, and it can go towards reaching for the fat. However, that being said, the only thing that's really gonna, cause weight loss is, again, being in a caloric deficit. I tend to
running on the treadmill is not gonna make you lose weight necessarily.
Not unless you're making
burning calories, but those are the only calories you're burning. It's more efficient to lift weights where you're gonna be burning calories.
However you want to do it, just you need to know, you need to know your basal metabolic rate. You need to know how many calories you're burning a day. You need to then know how many you're consuming a day, and people will wildly guess how many they're consuming, and I promise you don't know how much you're consuming.
Unless you really get religious and track it all.
Track it, that's it. And you don't have to do that forever. Yeah, I love MyFitnessPal, and I teach my people to use MyFitnessPal because you don't need to use it forever, but if you use it for a month, you will learn so much about the way you eat. And
you start to read labels correctly.
Yep. So it's however you want to do it, but fat loss simply comes from being in a caloric deficit. That's it.
Makes sense.
That's it. So you want to do
that
less
through... food.
Yeah. Just close your mouth.
Yep, exactly. That's for sure.
Or make smarter choices, really.
Yeah.
Because people say that, like, eating, lower calorie or... basically eating lower calorie, it sucks and it's boring and this and that. Hell no. I have a lot of fun with my calories. My allotted calories that I have for the day. This morning I had waffles and ice cream. I didn't have shitty waffles and shitty ice cream. I had
Halo Top,
Kashi 7 grain waffles and Halo Top. Halo Top, which is like a protein ice cream that's really good, right?
It has like 0 fat though, so I can't eat it right now. It sucks, but it's really good.
Really, really good ice cream. Surprisingly good ice cream.
Which is your favorite flavor?
Peanut butter.
Yeah, man. That one's good. That was the only one that had a decent amount of fat, but not nearly the amount that I need.
Yeah.
Because, like,
an entire pint is this. Me and my girlfriend were looking at this. An entire pint of Halo Top is equivalent to 1/4 of a pint of Ben and Jerry's. So
wow.
You can eat a whole pint of it. And also, the macronutrient breakdown, Ben and Jerry's has like 2 grams of protein.
Yeah.
The Halo Top, if you eat the whole pint, it's got like 30 grams of protein.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, so I had that. I had calorie-free waffle syrup. They make that shit now.
Calorie-free?
Calorie-free.
What is it sweetened with, stevia?
Yep, stevia, and it's got like vinegar, but it doesn't taste like vinegar. It's, and water and this and that, but it tastes good.
Wow. What's the brand? Do you remember?
Walden's Farms.
Huh.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, shout out.
Walden's Farms. Don't eat that Mrs. Butterworth shit.
No. God.
Fuck her. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, but That's really interesting that you brought that up because like flexible dieting I feel like is very, very important for people to understand.
Yes.
You just got to figure out your macronutrients.
Yes.
Bro science, don't use bro science and saying, well, I can eat a ton of terrible stuff. I'm going to eat a bunch of Pop-Tarts to fill up my carbs.
Exactly. It's always going to be better.
Still aim to eat clean.
Yes.
Still aim to get those micronutrients as well.
Yes.
Making sure you're staying with a balanced diet. My rule of thumb is basically shop around the perimeter of the grocery store.
It's always good, yeah.
Don't shop in the aisles. If you shop around the perimeter, you're going to get all your produce, vegetables, fruits, all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. You're going to get your meats back there in the back. The only thing I really ever go in the aisles for is like random like sriracha or condiments or
sugar-free Jello, 5-calorie packs sitting right in the middle.
There we go.
Yeah.
Sugar-free Jello, I like it. But yeah, that's another weird thing that people don't think about. They think if you're restricting your calories, you're restricting how much fun you can have with it.
Exactly.
You're restricting.
Very much not true.
And like for me right now, I'm in a caloric deficit. The first 3 months of this year, I was in like a bulking kind of phase where I was in a caloric excess. Yeah. And now I'm in a caloric deficit, but I'm eating like bacon and burgers.
Yeah.
And my breakfast is like my favorite meal of the day. I eat like a bunch of eggs. It's awesome.
Yeah, you can have fun with it. It just definitely takes some preparation.
For sure.
You gotta you gotta play around with your numbers. You gotta track your numbers. You gotta keep up to date with your numbers.
Do you follow Lane Norton?
Yeah.
I love that guy.
Yeah.
He's in some of his YouTube videos has said some very, very interesting things that have kind of been pretty big shifts for me as far as the way that I look at the way that I look at food and all that kind of stuff.
The Avatar nutrition that he is paired with,
yeah, that's the reverse dieting thing, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, dude, this podcast has gotten pretty long, but a couple last things that I wanted to talk about real quick would be training styles. Like, if you were gonna like give someone, obviously there's different training styles for different people. What kind of training style do you most employ, I guess, like bodybuilding, powerlifting, CrossFit?
I'm at a bit of a crossroads.
A little bit of a crossroads?
No, not CrossFit. I've done CrossFit. I did CrossFit in Israel for 3 months on the beach. It was awesome. I have nothing against CrossFit. I just think there are some bad CrossFit instructors and gyms who don't pay attention to their people and have them do movements that are super technical that they shouldn't be doing. That's my main gripe about CrossFit. Is the don't have someone who's never exercised do a clean and jerk with 95 pounds over their head. Like, that shit's not going to work. They need to learn proper movement pattern. The opportunity for injury is just so high. Yeah. But right now I'm at this moment in time, I'm getting more into a DUP, which basically stands for daily undulating periodization. I'm squatting, benching, and deadlifting 3 times a week. I'm doing each of those exercises 3 times a week. And
wow,
then I'm doing,
that's a lot.
It is a lot.
So you're working out every day? Are you taking rest days?
Working out 5 days a week now. Sometimes 6 if I'm feeling good. On the 6th day, I'll just do something, get moving. Basically, do something fun. That's swam yesterday. Good. But at the same time, I'm really trying to stay as athletic and mobile as possible. I've come to realize that, my shit's a little fucked up. Like my shoulders and my back, I have imbalances. I'm not living in pain day to day. There was a point where my shoulders would always hurt, my back would always hurt, and that just came from not really knowing what I was doing. And training improperly? Training improperly, absolutely, and not taking care of recovery. So, I'm doing a lot of foam roll, a lot of myofascial release now, and I'm doing things that really get me out of my comfort zone. Like I said, yesterday I swam. I was doing basically like high intensity swimming sprints. And that's what awesome. I came to realize is that I really suck at swimming. It's hard to go for a while. Like I used to be on the swim team. Like it's hard to keep going for a while. I'm pretty sure it was only a standard 25 meter pool. Is that what? That's pretty standard. Yeah, down and back is 50. Down and back's 50. So we were doing 25 meter sprints. Yeah, some of them are yards and some of them are meters. And I was gassed. How many times did you go? How many rounds? Yeah, I think we did 6 rounds. And you were gassed. Wow. I was gassed after each round, and then I'd have to take 2 minutes just to kind of recover and then do it again. Like high intensity interval training kind of thing? Yeah, pretty much. So, I want to start, I just want to do everything. We did the slingshot, the ninja courses together. Like, just do whatever's fun, have
the
fun
ninja
with
course
it.
thing is I'm
It's
trying to get
awesome.
back into that. It's
Yeah.
did you see my video from that place, Ninja Quest?
I did,
They
yeah.
just moved into a new location. It's pretty sick.
Okay, I'll come with you.
Yeah, it's in Marietta. On Mondays, they have like a
Open
competition kind of thing. It's open gym, and then they have like a competition, kind of like the show, where they'll set up a course, and everyone writes their name on a sheet, and you get a chance to try to attempt the course. They explain all the obstacles and the rules of each obstacle.
Yeah.
You try to complete the course, and there's no like prize or anything, but it's just cool.
Bragging
Because
rights.
yeah, they time you and everything, just like the show. Like it's pretty sweet.
That's
like,
nice.
The people who run that place are really passionate about it, and a lot of them actually have been on the show multiple times and stuff
cool.
like that. So it's run by some pretty cool people. I went there for the first time last week. It was really cool.
I'll check it out with you.
Yeah, we should go on a Monday.
So yeah, I mean, it really just comes down to like doing what you enjoy. If you're not having fun with your training, you're not going to stick with it. So I've done probably every program under the sun. I've done upper lower programs. I've done push pull leg programs. I've done the classic 5-day a week program. You know, I'm doing the DUP right now. I've done it all. Just do whatever you enjoy, but make sure that you actually have structure. Yeah, switch it up as well.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've realized too is, you know, I did that, the Tough Mudder. That's the one that I did recently, and it was 10 miles, which is a long way. It's the longest I've ever ran.
Yeah.
And it only had 20 obstacles, which, you know, is still a lot, but...
One every half a mile, huh?
One every half a mile. Or no, wait, was it 20 obstacles or was it less? Maybe it was... I can't remember now. Maybe it's 15. But still, either way, a lot of obstacles, but some of them are like the ice bath, so it's not really physically hard. It's just like it just sucks because you're just like going in ice.
But it's cool. It's again, get out of your comfort zone.
Exactly, and that I did not know how big of an impact that would have on me.
That ice bath, yeah, in Savage
not
Race.
even just the ice bath, but just the whole race, just the just doing the race, how much of an impact it had on me, and how cool it was to complete it.
Yeah,
because you know, the obstacles did not intimidate me in the least bit because I've done a lot of that ninja training and stuff like that, you know, going to slingshot and whatever. And I work out and I lift, like, you know, I felt confident in that. But the running was the part that I was really, you know, most worried about. The good thing is you kind of like have to wait and stop at each obstacle to like wait in line a little bit.
Yeah, what time did you race? What time was
it? It was like a main time. I had to wait a ton, dude.
Yeah.
Like, my race time was terrible.
First time I did Savage Race, there was some waiting at like the warped wall, the roped warp wall. Second time I did one of the competitive waves early in the morning, and I just ran that shit from start to finish.
That's awesome. Yeah, I definitely want to do that more next time. It's getting an earlier start time.
Yeah.
But dude, there was one obstacle at the Tough Mudder. There was like a warped wall, but instead of going up and then curving back in, it goes up and then curves back the other way like an S.
Okay.
So you had to reach forward rather than reaching up and back, kind of. You had to like run up it and then reach forward for a thing. Yeah. It was crazy.
But everyone helps each other on those
Everyone helps each other for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's cool about it.
Yeah, that was the craziest thing, is it didn't feel competitive at all.
Yeah.
No one was trying to like get in front of somebody.
Yeah, no.
Everyone was trying to help each other out. And
there was this kid that I was running with, the one that I won. This kid must have been like 12 or 13, and for a good 3/4 of the race, we were heel to toe. I was actually behind him. He was keeping my pace. So he was keeping my pace for me, and I was behind him for 3/4 of the race. I only pulled ahead when we got to an obstacle where he was literally too short to do it.
What was it?
It was an up and over wall, like you go up and over it, and then you go under a log, and then you go up and over, and he like had trouble getting over the wall, and I was just kind of like flying over them. So that's the only place that I really took ahead. But
did someone help him, or what happened?
Someone helped him. I think eventually, you know, we were both competing, but the whole time that we were racing, I was like, let's keep going, let's go. He was doing the same thing. We, you know, spoke as much as we could while we were racing. He's saying that his mom was doing it as well, and his mom's done it a couple times. But yeah, everyone helps each other. Everyone's on the same team.
Yeah, it's cool. Very, very cool, the camaraderie that those races have.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you one last question, but I can't remember what it was. It was something about training or something, but I think that's a good place to end it, to be honest. We've gone for like 2 hours, dude. It was a good podcast.
It's been fun.
Dude, yeah.
Are the other ones like 2 hours?
Most of them have been pretty long. I don't really ever want to like ask anyone to like for a time commitment of like, hey, let's do a podcast and we're going to make sure it's 2 hours.
Because
that's just a lot to ask of somebody, but like we'll just go until either you want to end it or, like if you have to go or whatever. Like the other day I did one with my friend. He had to go after like an hour or so, and like that was cool. Like we just did a shorter one.
Yeah.
But I think when you, like, this kind of feels like a natural stopping point. You know what I mean?
Sure. No, absolutely.
And I feel like 2 hours is good because you can talk about a lot and you can get a lot of stuff out and you can really vibe it out and get into a groove kind of after, like, especially the first 30 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
You really get into a groove of it and everything. So,
did you make sure the microphones were on?
Yes, the microphones are on and it's still recording. Once it hits an hour and 55 minutes, it starts a new recording. So we're in the second recording right now, and we're 8 minutes into that, so it's a little over 2 hours. But is there anything you want to promote or anything that you want to, where can people find you if they want fitness advice or if they want to follow you on Instagram? I know you haven't posted there very much, but
I'm about to start though.
About to restart.
So people can follow me.
Shoot some followers over to Jamie.
So the Instagram handle is Just Jamie Fitness. Very simple, Just Jamie Fitness.
And Jamie is Jamie.
Yes.
Just Jamie Fitness, all one word.
One word.
And
come to UFit if you want a good trainer.
Yes, come to UFit in Alpharetta if you want a good trainer. And if people, do you do training outside of that facility, or you need to come to UFit if they want you as their trainer?
As of right now, yes.
Okay.
That may change in the near future.
I see. Very nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Got to go back to school full time, so there's some changes that are happening right now.
I see.
Yeah, everybody, educate yourself, have fun. That's it.
Nice.
Live a good life.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, the South African and the American are peacing out. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks.
Boom. Episode 11 is a wrap. I want to thank Jamie so much for being on the podcast. I can't wait to have him on again. We could have easily gone for another 2 hours. But after he wrapped, he actually told me another crazy story about when he was involved in a bank robbery in South Africa. So I definitely need to have him on again. Sounds like he has even more crazy stories to share. If you want to follow Jamie on Instagram, it's at Just Jamie Fitness, all one word. Jamie is Jamie, Just Jamie Fitness. And if you live in Alpharetta, Georgia, or the surrounding area, come visit Jamie at UFit, and you can train with him and join for only $10 a month. Who can beat that? Come on. If you want to support the podcast, best way to do that is to go to the podcast app if you have an iPhone, or the iTunes store if you're on a computer, and find the Andrew Deitch podcast. Leave it a 5-star review. Give me some feedback. Downloading all the episodes helps a lot. So even if you're not going to listen to all of them, that really helps me. Trying to get up in that new and noteworthy section. So even if you're not going to listen to all the episodes, I would appreciate the downloads. If you want to follow me on social media, best way to find me is to go to my website, andrewdeitch.com. That's Andrew, DEITSCH.com. You can find all my links to my social media handles and accounts. That's all I got. Episode 12 is up next with athlete, future Harvard man, and world traveler Matthew Schaefer. In this podcast, Matthew and I talk about his amazing story of how he went from being one of the highest ranked triathletes in the nation to having it all taken away when he was hit by a truck while he was riding his bike. We also talk about how his recovery from this accident inspired him to go into the medical field. He's going to Harvard, baby, and his travels all over Asia and Europe, and his time as Mike the Tiger at LSU, the mascot there. But that episode will be posted very soon. Keep it locked. I gotta go, but love you guys, and keep listening and sharing the podcast. It really means the world to me. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.